Welcome back, everybody, to episode 68 of the Movie ReBrew podcast. I'm your host, Keegan Holland, and with me is my co-host, Mike Jennison.
Top of the morning to you, Keegan.
Yeah, good morning. I've had zero food today, and I'm tackling pretty heavy beer here, so if I get a little loopy by the end of it, that's why.
It wouldn't be a top 10 episode if you don't get a little loopy, right?
Exactly. So, Mike, you did not bury the lead there at all. We were doing our top 10, though. You did see the title of this episode, so you knew. Yeah, this is our countdown, our top 10 movies of 2019.
I think it's my favorite podcast of the year. I always get excited for it. We bring on all our old guests. They will not bring them on, but get to see their lists. It's a fun time.
Yeah, how many people do we have giving their input this year?
Let me see if there's any last second submissions, admits. Nothing. Okay, so we have, including me and Keegan, not including me and Keegan, 13 guests.
Nice. Not all of them were on this year, but these are from the last 3 years. And then one person who's never been on, but who I bring up just about every episode. So I figured he's probably seen more movies than maybe you this year, because you've had a bit of a down year with school. But
Keegan has a man crush on him too, so
yes,
this is his way to flirt.
Yes.
Keegan's also drinking out of the world's biggest glass.
Yeah, it's a Stein glass. It's big. In addition to our top 10 favorite movies, we're also doing our favorite beer from the last year. I'm choosing Spaceways Modern Times. I had this for the Joker and Ad Astra episode. Modern Times because they watch Modern Times in the movie, and Spaceways because Ad Astra is a space film.
So I went through our list. Nothing really stood out. I really like my Norwegian Pilsner from last week. I didn't give my review on it. It's a solid little Pilsner. That thing's popping up everywhere, too.
Yeah, it's Icelandic, by the way, not Norwegian.
Icelandic. Same thing.
I saw
I'm
it
kidding.
At the store.
Sorry.
I saw it at the store yesterday.
Ever since I saw that, I've been looking at, bars I've been going to, and it's pretty much, it's a fairly popular beer now. Yeah, Icelandic Pilsner. It's good. It's a nice smooth Pilsner. Not a big fan of Pilsners either, so that said something. But going through the list, a lot of them are forgettable. So I drink a Ballast Point for Shazam, a lazy selection on my part, but I love Ballast Point Scalpin', so I picked that. However, I got it from Kroger two months ago. So I walked to Kroger to a Redbox, which I've just been destroying of late, and they didn't have it there. And the only Ballast Point IPA they had there was Fathom IPA. It's the one with the diver on it. So I said, well, we'll do that. So I got Fathom IPA because I walked there, and after spending 20 minutes trying to grab this beer and failing, I didn't feel like hopping in the car, which I think is fair. So yeah. I'm drinking a Fathom IPA.
That's just the regular IPA, right? I think Rossi's favorite is the Dippa.
Is Dippa the one with, what fish is on it?
Isn't it the Manta Ray? Or am I making that up?
Yeah. Yeah. There's another IPA that's really good by them. I think that's the one you're talking about, Keegan. I love the Sculpin. Those are everywhere.
Yeah, Ballast Point
grapefruit, pineapple are just delicious. The habanero one, or is it jalapeno? I think it's habanero. Pairing that with steak is out of this world good.
Really?
Drinking a 6-pack of that is just so tough.
It's funny you say it, because I can't really eat and drink at the same time, let alone a steak and a beer. That seems like counterintuitive.
See, I hate doing it. I never would usually, but I got a tip saying, oh, yeah, do that. Drink it with some meat, some red meat, if you can get your hands on it. Because that's tough to get your hands on. And I did it, and it was really good. That's the only time where I'm like, oh, take a bite of this, and I can't wait to wash it down with a beer. But yeah, a habanero, jalapeno, I think it's habanero. Habanero Sculpin, perfect with some salty meats.
Wow. Hot tip. Yeah. Real hot tip.
All right. This will be a hot tip episode.
Well, before we get into the top 10, there is a bit of news to get to.
Good evening. I'm Will McAvoy.
And I'm Evan Baxter, and here's what's making news.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
This one's not quite fresh off the presses, but it's within the last few days. The Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus has been delayed, and the internet exploded. People are calling for Kathleen Kennedy's head, furthering proof that Star Wars is dead under Disney's control. But this is weird because the biggest complaint with The Rise of Skywalker was it felt rushed, and they're firing too many people. They're doing these things without the proper commitment to development. And then she says, we want to take more time to develop these, and people are still pissed. So Kathleen Kennedy can't win in the eyes of the internet, but I think this is probably a good thing, make the show better. I don't know, hot take maybe, but I think this is more of a problem for Disney Plus and them just not having any new content at the moment. Mandalorian ended a couple weeks ago, and I have not opened the app since.
When did it get delayed to 2022?
2021.
Was that correct?
I think 2021. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not that long of a delay, but that was supposed to be the next show that's coming out, right?
In terms of Star Wars.
It was supposed to come out fairly soon.
Yeah, I think everyone was in London. Like, the crew had to go home because, they were working on it.
I'm cool with that. I mean, yeah, I think we want quality, right? If they would have spent the original trilogy and the prequels, both did 3 years, 2 years in between, so every 3 years a Star Wars movie came out. And this trilogy, I think the biggest issue was the fact that they kind of just rushed and pumped it out. So I'm cool with them actually taking their time getting this right, because Disney's just been awful with Star Wars. Even though I actually like 7 and 8, the way they ended 9 just makes that whole trilogy just terrible. So maybe they take a step back. I mean, they might just overhaul Lucasfilms completely. That might have been why they are delaying it. But I'm cool with that. Let's actually get something with quality. We can wait another year. If it was gonna be ass, everyone would hate it. So if it's a year and if it's actually good, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. Obviously it's a bummer, because you want these things to succeed and get out as soon as possible. But the wait, if it's going to make them better, you might as well wait. Next thing might be WandaVision in a couple months. Or no, Falcon and the Winter Soldier might be first. But that's still some time away.
That's ways away. I think that's coming out in 2021 as well, or maybe like late 2020. It's kind of crazy that they didn't have anything with Marvel, because they announced all those shows. They didn't have anything with Marvel right away, because Disney Plus was announced like 3 years before it came out, 2 years before it came out, and Marvel was so like well planned out. You think they would have a show right now? They need something right now. They are coming out with the last season of Clone Wars, which will help.
Yes. That's mid-Feb, I believe.
It's mid-February. But yeah, Disney Plus off to a slow start. I'm sure it'll pick up, but yeah, there's nothing too exciting there. I heard a Bo Peep background story of Bo Peep is getting dropped next week.
Jeez.
A short of what she did in between 2 and 4. No one's asking for that, but we're going to get that.
That'll get the subscribers in.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's 4 minutes long, I actually might watch that. If it's 45 minutes long to, 10 to 45 minutes, I will not watch that. But
Disney Plus's saving grace for me so far has been the bundle. Like, I've been using ESPN Plus to watch hockey. Like, the Penguins are on ESPN Plus pretty consistently, and I can't watch them out here other than that. They have English soccer on there too, and then Hulu is obviously a great service. But if you had just purchased Disney Plus on its own, I feel like you've probably mined through it already and probably haven't opened the app for a while. I mean, you probably watched, Recess, Boy Meets World, Lizzie McGuire, and then, I don't know. What else are you clamoring for? Even Stevens?
Yeah, and then
those are short seasons.
But those are really short seasons, and also a lot of those things don't hold up. Though I've been watching Boy Meets World, I've watched like 20 episodes since I've had Disney Plus on there. Just picking and choosing ones I like.
And that's your favorite show of all time. First off, so that's probably why. Yeah. And that's the one that has 7 seasons?
I think 7, maybe 8. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
And
however, no one's buying Disney Plus for 20-year-old show Boy Meets World.
No. Is Full House on there? I don't like Full House. I think it's a cringy show. Yeah, but is that on there? People love it.
People do love it, but it's a bad show. I don't know. Was that ABC?
I believe so. We're really dating ourselves as little boys here. Yeah. I think it was on TGIF. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, you give a shit.
But if you have a family, I imagine you're happy with Disney Plus. You put on whatever,
Oh,
put
yeah.
on a show, and they can shut up for like 4 hours.
My,
Right? Is
my
that the
niece,
goal?
my niece and nephew watch like Incredibles 2 every day. So
Yeah, and Jacob Rossi's watched Hercules. I assume over 200 times at this point. He's watched it 3 times the first day, so he was on a hot start. I
Record
imagine he's
pace.
on pace for about 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There are some Disney movies that I've missed over the years that I would like to go back and see. I haven't seen the original Captain America, and I love like World War II, so I imagine I would like that movie, and I like Chris Evans. So that's like one Marvel movie I want to see that I haven't seen that's on there. And then I want to say there's a Pixar movie I've missed, but you know what? I think I went back and saw them all for our Pixar pod. Oh, I haven't seen Cars 2 or 3, but I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess maybe only Captain America. I haven't seen like Hunchback or Pocahontas since I was like 5, though I don't think I. Now that's on very, very high on my list of things to see, but I would like to see those movies.
Out of nowhere, when I was home, I think for Thanksgiving, my nephew just out of nowhere, let's watch Pocahontas. I was like, what? The dude like only watches Spider-Man and Incredibles, and out of nowhere he calls for Pocahontas. Colors of the Wind, man. That song is such a banger.
I mean, that goes too hard. That song is incredible.
That song is way too hard for that movie. Mel Gibson as John Smith. The movie's fucking weird.
Is it good?
It's okay.
I think it's bad.
No, it's
good.
okay.
See, I don't remember. Though they're making a live-action Bambi. This is also news, I guess.
Yeah, this is news.
And I haven't seen Bambi in forever. But everyone knows that the mom dies. You know, it's like little what is it called when it's little short stories all together, little vignettes?
Vignettes, yeah.
Yeah, that's how the movie's broken down. It's like a little vignettes about Bambi growing up without her mom. I guess it's super artsy and like it wouldn't work in 2019 at all for like making money. They're making a live action. Maybe they're gonna just twist the plot a little bit like Dumbo. They kind of did their own thing with it.
Yeah.
Maybe they will. They're gonna make it like as photorealistic as Lion King, which is just crazy.
God.
Because if a lion can emote, a deer really can't emote. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't really know what they're doing.
Are you ready for a hot take?
Bring it.
Well, first off, in my dream last night, after we were joking about me being CEO of Universal Pictures and never allowing...
Oh, that was a joke?
Yeah, it was a joke. And never allowing anything like Cats or Doolittle to ever happen. In my dream, I actually became the CEO of Disney. So...
Nice.
Bob Iger, look out. And I just shut down production for 7 years and only allowed original ideas to be made because this Bambi news just broke me. I forgot what I was going to say after that though. But oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. I think next year, hot take, I'm only going to see. Oh, fuck, they own Marvel. I was only going to see Pixar movies from Disney. But I guess I'll see Black Widow as well. Is Black Widow the only movie from Marvel next year?
The Internals, I believe.
Oh, the Eternals. Fuck.
And if the mutants come out, the little mutants or whatever, that will be next year too.
It's
I don't
New
think
Mutants.
it's coming out though.
That's not coming out. Okay. Damn it. I would love to not... Okay, I'm not going to watch any Disney proper movies next year. Though that doesn't really matter. I'm not doing it.
What'd you see this year? Dumbo? Maybe Aladdin? Did you see Aladdin?
I saw Aladdin, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have not liked any of the live action besides Jungle Book. And I think Aladdin's my second favorite, which was fine.
Yeah.
Will Smith was actually 90s Will Smith in it, which made me smile. I think that was the only reason why I liked that movie. Yeah. It looked pretty too. Mm-hmm. They always look pretty though. I heard, and this is really exciting news, Pixar is not developing any sequels right now. They have only original ideas. Their next 4 movies will all be original ideas, and as far as on the pipeline is concerned, they're all original.
That's great.
Which is good, because Pixar always delivers. They don't always deliver, but they bat about 90%, so
yeah,
I'm cool with it.
They probably have the best batting average of any studio.
Any studio ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Universal's killing it.
Killing it.
Did Universal just lose like $300 million? Like, how is that business? How is that? How are they going to operate?
Yeah, they lost. I mean, back to back combined, they lost $200 million. So, I mean, Hollywood accounting, they'll find a way to like have made money. I don't know. It's weird. Probably way too much time on Disney Plus and Disney. I don't think we talked about the Oscars since they've come out.
No, we haven't. Do you want to save it for the Oscar pod though? Because we're going to like dive deep into every category.
Sure, let's punt.
Do you have any initial thoughts though?
People are mad. I feel like with social media, people are having their aha moment where they're realizing that the Oscars suck. I think every film fan has that at about age 18 when they start seeing more movies. They realize the Oscars are just dumb as shit. But with social media, that's becoming a thing every year of people being like, oh my god, my favorite movie isn't getting love. Yeah, because it's old white guys that see like 3 movies a year and just like go based on what they know. They don't actually watch any of these movies. Their opinion doesn't matter. It's just a circle jerk. It's a dumb event, but I don't know. I have fun with it because it's whatever.
Just have fun with it.
Just have fun with it. They don't nominate the right movies ever. The wrong movie wins every single year. It's a stupid event, but it's just fun to see actors do shit on stage, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean,
Shallow was awesome last year. That was one of my favorite Oscar moments ever.
Yeah.
And so was when Moonlight beat La La Land. That was just shocking. That was great live television.
There's fun events.
I think my favorite tweet I saw in all the posts was, how old were you when you realized that the Academy Awards suck, or they're just like they're useless, or you stop believing in them basically? Yeah. And what was the winner that made you realize? I thought that was a good tweet, because I feel like it's around like age 18 to 20 where you realize like, oh wow, they suck.
Yeah, it's a dumb organization.
Bridge of Spies was mine. That movie should not be nominated for Best Picture. But you know what it is? It's you have these good young directors who make really good movies that critics love, that like, people love, but like doesn't get big major recognition. And then when they become more established, all their stuff gets nominated, all their actors get nominated. It becomes beloved. I mean, I don't think Quentin Tarantino was nominated for Best Director for Pulp Fiction, and now pretty much he can make whatever the hell he wants. He'll get nominated for Best Director. Wes Anderson wasn't nominated until Grand Budapest Hotel, even though he had 5 good movies before then. I don't think Taxi Driver was nominated for Best Picture, and now Scorsese can do whatever the hell he wants. Taika Waititi finally gets some love for Jojo Rabbit, though he's been making good movies for the last 15 years. So even Bong Joon-ho, I'm probably mispronouncing his name. He's been making good movies for the last 15 years, finally get some love. Guillermo del Toro last year or 2 years ago. So that's pretty much what it is. It's like lifetime achievement almost. It's like, yeah, you have to cut your teeth. You have to make some good indies, and then we'll recognize you later on in your life. That's pretty much what it's for. And if you can wrap your head around that and be happy with that, then it's good. Like Brad Pitt's never won an actor award. He's in a category with all supporting actors who are legends, and then Brad Pitt will get his this year, and everything's good, right? So that's pretty much what it's for. Rarely do they actually reward good, clever, new ideas. Like Get Out was really rare. The fact that Parasite has a chance this year is actually really rare. Awesome. So, yeah.
The biggest thing for me, I'd say, is Joker getting 11 nominations up there with...
Yeah, that's kind of disturbing.
Return of the King, La La Land, Ben-Hur, Gone with the Wind. Like, 11 nominations is, like, rare ground. And for Joker to get it, that seems crazy to me. Is Todd Phillips nominated?
Because it's not this big orchestra. What'd you say?
Is Todd Phillips nominated?
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
God.
God.
It's sad. Yeah.
It sucks. I get penis. I get score. I get cinematography, but like it beat Rocket Man and Downton Abbey for costume somehow. I don't know, like it doesn't make any sense at all. It's weird. It's very strange.
A lot of those categories, and we'll get more into it later in our next pod, just didn't make any sense. What do they call below the line categories? After like the tech categories.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them didn't make any sense this year. A lot of them just kind of went to, I think it was the first time ever that 5 movies had over 7 nominations. So, I don't know, lazy by the Academy, the shortened season, and not enough people saw movies. I don't know. Just
I think
some weird things happened this year.
Yeah, the shortened season I think plays a lot into it. Like the Globe should be happening like next week, and then the Oscars should be the end of February, but they moved everything forward 4 weeks, and then the Academy, which always struggles to watch things anyways, now has 4 less weeks to do so. So quick campaign cycle. So they probably didn't get around too much. That's why so few movies have so many nominations, because that's what they saw.
Yep. The one good thing is that we're not getting Academy Award pictures coming out late January now. I always hated that. Ugh, yeah. that upset me. Only one we got this year was 1917. Usually the past couple years there's been like 3 or 4, it seems like. Yeah. So I do like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it for news? Just
a small thing. Disney is taking the name Fox off of 21st Century Fox, off of Fox Searchlight. At first, I didn't think this was a big deal, but then you learn about the history of William Fox, the guy that made the company, was robbed of that company during the Great Depression and blacklisted from Hollywood. But at least he could say his name was still on that company. And then now it's not, which is super sad. But I get why they did it with the confusion of Fox News, the Fox TV network. Like, Disney doesn't own those. So it makes sense for branding to differentiate, but it sucks for that family, that guy, to have his name removed after a rough career in Hollywood. And then just the history of 20th Century Fox you see before all those legendary movies. Disney is the type of company that would go back and edit Alien and take away the Fox from the opening. So hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully they leave movies as they are. But I don't know. It's just a kind of a sad thing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think you nailed it. Everything you said, it makes sense. I get why Disney did it. It wasn't surprising at all. However, I think it's bad. I think it's bad for the history of Hollywood. Yeah. The most nominations for Best Picture of any studio I saw.
Yeah,
is 20th Century Fox.
They made one of the first nominated and one of the first ever winners, too. So, yeah, 20th Century Fox has been in the DNA of Hollywood for nearly 100 years now. So to see it kind of erased, kind of sad.
I guess they have the best lot, too. You know more about that, but they have the best location of all their lots.
They're really close to me. They're about 10-minute drive from me. I mean, Sony's closer, but yeah, very historic lot. And yeah, the Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard, that's the Fox Corporation building. It's in Century City. It's massive, standalone by itself. You can see it from everywhere. It's a cool place. All right.
Cool.
Let's get to our top 10.
I got a golden ticket. I got a golden chance to make my way.
So, how this works, me and Mike will go through our top 10 one by one. These are our top 10 favorite. We're not saying these are the best movies of the year by any stretch. These are just what the top 10 that resonated the most with us. After we give our top 10, we will go through each of our guests' top 5. So for us, our number 1 will be worth 10 points. Our number 2 will be worth 9 points, and so on. And for our guests, their number 1 will be worth 5 points. And then we'll put all the points together and come up with Movie ReBrew's top 10 of 2019.
Yep, a little historical context here. The top movie of 2017 was Call Me By Your Name. The top movie of 2018, shocker, Annihilation. So yeah, it'd be fun to see what joins the ranks this year at top of the Movie ReBrew food chain.
So, so I forget how we do this. Do we do our honorable mentions before our number 1, or do we do it at the top?
So I think we do our honorable mentions at the end of everything, because sometimes our honorable because we always we talk about the movies that our friends, our colleagues have nominated. So why don't just do it at the end of everything? Movies that didn't get any recognition.
Yeah.
And then I will do my 10 through 7. Keegan will do his 10 through 7. We switch off each year who goes first. Keegan went first last year, so I'll go first this year. And it'll be like six through 4, 3 and 2, and then 1.
Yeah.
You ready to rock and roll, Keegan?
I'm ready to go.
Do you want to do any exclaimers before we start?
Yeah, so I had a 4-way tie for number 10 until Wednesday of this week. And a movie I saw recently bombed into my top 10 with a vengeance. So, yeah, this was a finish line decision for my top 10. Other disclaimers, it's my top 10. Get all the way off my back, okay? I like what I love. If you've listened to the show, you know I'm a sucker for certain things, and they'll be high, okay? Get off me. Get off me.
At Chuck Jennison. At the real Chuck.
Oh,
yeah, I mean... What?
Also a disclaimer. Even though we've thought about this top 10 could be wrong in 2 weeks. I put Paddington 2 at my number 10 movie last year. It should be number 3. So these are always ever-changing things. But on January 25th, 2020, this is my top 10 from 2019. This is not set in stone at all. But for right now, this is it.
Yeah, I always say 2017, Ingrid Goes West was left on the cutting room floor. It was 11, and I saw The Eve before this. And now it's one of my favorite movies of the decade. Even though I don't think I had it on my honorable mention of the decade, because I suck. But phenomenal movie. Go see it. I think it's on Hulu. But yeah, like Keegan said, this is a fluid situation. For me, I didn't rank my movies this year. I just kind of wrote them down when I saw. So I went back 2 weeks ago, and boom, 10 through 1 felt great. And then 3 days ago, I changed everything. So it kind of sums up what we're doing here. But yeah, I mean, I feel good about this 10 in this moment in time. So
I like my 10. I'm not sure I love the order, but an argument for a different time. No, it's not. That's the whole point of this podcast.
Right now. That's what Charlie's saying to himself as he listens to us. Keegan, how many movies did you see this year? I think I got you in 2017. You got me in 2018.
I saw 58,
how many you see this year?
58 movies.
58?
Yeah.
I saw 48, so got me by 10.
Killed you. No contest. Crushed. I'm surprised you saw that many. Because
I was shocked, too.
You went on a dry spell where at one point in a 3-week span, I think I saw 12 movies and you saw 0. So maybe that's just the time where I just killed you. It was right there.
Yeah, I didn't see a movie in August or September, which is crazy because I was just bright-eyed, getting destroyed by grad school.
Yeah. I also took August off as well, though I may have saw 1 or 2. But
yeah, So in 2017, I saw 38 movies. In 2018, I saw 52 movies. This year, 48. So it's kind of my average. Proud of myself. Yeah. Okay. My 3 factors. I say this every year. Here we go. Theater experience. Did I have fun? Did I laugh? Did I check my watch, which I do a lot, which I really shouldn't, but I do.
And it's weird. You do that often.
Yeah, I do. Some movies are really boring. Darkest Hour, At You. Oof. Oof. And it emotionally struck me. I mean, sometimes I tear up in the theater. So that's my first one, the theater-going experience. Number 2, lasting impact. I think this is big for Keegan, too. Sometimes, man, you don't really know how much a movie impacts you until you can just think about it 2 weeks later. You're still doing Google searches, looking up background of the movie. So lasting impact, that's a huge one for me. That's been the biggest one for me. And then 3, the X factor, which makes up the acting, cinematography, score, some awesome shots. Just from the technical perspective, anything that really stood out compared to other movies you usually see. So those are my big 3: theater going experience, lasting impact, and X factor. With all that said,
can I jump in for a second?
Yeah.
Lasting impact, the way you defined it, I much prefer with it staying with you and you looking up more shit about it. But last year, was Incredibles 2 last year or 2017?
That was 2018. 2018. That was last year.
So technically, yeah, we're in 2020. But yeah. I came out of that movie loving it. 9.5. Worship the ground it walked on. 6 months later, I forgot everything about it. So I dropped it down to number 8 or something. I watched it again. That movie should have been 3. That movie is so fucking good. So I don't want to. That's why this year I made an attempt to not put too much stock in how I feel about it now, and really trusting in my initial reactions coming out of the theater. So that's kind of something I've changed from last year to this year.
You actually didn't have Incredibles in your top 10 last year.
I didn't? Oh my god, what a fucking idiot. Yeah, that movie's fucking good, dude.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent with you about that too, because I hadn't said movie, but I loved it in theaters too. But yeah, lasting impact. Yeah. That's important to me. Maybe it's not important to Keegan anymore.
I just rethought it a bit.
Well,
I still think it's important, but you know.
I use Letterboxd for my initial thoughts now. I'll give it one out of 5, and then I won't move that score. But then on my Excel sheet, where I'm a nerd and I keep every single movie I see since 2013 with a rating next to it, I'll tweet that.
Yeah.
So number 10, Won't You Be My Neighbor? Is that the name of it?
No, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Hot
Won't You Be My
start.
Neighbor? The doc about Fred Rogers is better. However, Won't You Be My A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is, I think it still captures exactly what Fred Rogers stood for. And I'm a sucker for that man. That man is a saint. One of the most beautiful human beings that ever walked this earth. And his message about just being good and being kind to everyone resonates with me. And, man, Tom Hanks' performance, I think it's the best he's been since Castaway. It's been a long time since I've seen him this good. And the casting was so easy, yes, but he just nails it. And yeah, probably because he is in some ways similar to Fred Rogers. I mean, his speech at the Globes alone was just like, this man's a national treasure, and so is Fred Rogers. And that's why it was such a special moment on screen to see him play Fred Rogers. And yeah, it really stuck with me. Ever since I seen that doc, Fred Rogers really stuck with me. But this movie, I also like from a technical perspective how what was it in between when they went to a different city? How it was like it looked like he was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was really cool. How Fred Rogers was actually a supporting actor in this movie and helping out this person he did not know, people didn't like. This Rolling Stone, is it Rolling Stone Vanity Fair? Doesn't matter. Vanity Fair, something like that. So he didn't really care. No one really cared for this man, but but Fred Rogers did, because he liked the, for lack of a better word, the Lost Souls. And I just thought it was so interesting to see him. He was only in like 30 minutes of this movie, but his presence every time he's on the screen, it is moving. And this movie also had a Cat Stevens song in it, so that automatically gives it like 5 extra points. So every risk they took. This was not your typical biopic. No. Because it would have been bad if it was, because the doc is just so perfect. And they didn't know the doc was coming out, but the doc came out and was just so perfect, highlighting the man's life. So to have him play this supporting character, helping this guy go through an interesting time in his life, was really well done. And I love the risks they took. Got me interested. So that is my take on it. I look through my notes. I think everyone would also like this movie. I'd really be surprised if you didn't like it. It's fairly quick too, so I really enjoyed it.
It's good. Didn't make my list, but it's a weird movie where there's like psychedelic moments. Fred Rogers isn't the main character. It takes a really unique spin on the story and isn't at all what you kind of expect.
Yeah, and I got the tip saying that be prepared. Tom Hanks is actually supporting in this. And I was kind of happy I had that, because I think a lot of people probably go to this movie expecting to see Tom Hanks for 2 hours, and you just don't. You don't see him for the first 30 minutes, I don't think.
But I think that's a good thing. Yeah, because Matthew Rhys is a very strong character to himself, and then just having the buffer of the Mr. Rogers character as a supporting, and those scenes with them alone together are powerful. And yeah, it's really good.
I just think it's so great that they have this guy who everyone could kind of relate to. I mean, he's just a pretty normal guy. And then to have Fred Rogers come into his life and him just become fixated with how, like, this guy has to be a bad person and stuff like that. I just thought it was just a very, very smart way to do everything. It's weird it took so long to make Fred Rogers movies, though. The man died in 2001, and now we're finally getting stuff on him, like 2 decades later.
Yeah.
But yes, highly recommended. I think everyone would love it. 9, I originally didn't have this movie on my list, and then my girlfriend pointed out saying, man, you laughed and you had a smile on your face this whole entire movie. And then I sat back and relaxed, and I'm like, you're right, I do love Sam Rockwell. This has to be on my list. Jojo Rabbit is 9 for me. Is there a better, more likable cast this year? Probably. It's probably Little Woman, but it's one of the most likable casts I can remember. All 5 lead actors, or all 5 main actors in this movie, are just phenomenal. They just destroy what they're doing. And it's such a unique movie. And I think I was expecting more uniqueness based on the premise, and maybe that's why I felt a little bit disappointed leaving the theater. But I had a ball of fun with this movie. I laughed. It's short, too, which I kind of like. And it's weirdly historically accurate. The stories of Hitler youth are nuts. And to see someone like worship Hitler's feet, and to have Taika Waititi play Hitler is awesome. And and then it has a lot of Moonrise Kingdom vibes to it, which isn't a bad thing at all. A lot of Wes Anderson feel to it, and the ending is just so cute. You can feel your heart swelling in your stomach watching the ending of this movie.
Yeah, didn't make my list. This was one of the 4 that was competing for the 10 spot that eventually got bumped. Like you said, the cast is incredible. I mean, besides the leads of the 2 kids, ScarJo, you have Sam Rockwell being unreal funny in this movie. A quick cameo from Stephen Merchant as like the friendly Nazi commander. Rebel Wilson, Alfie Allen. Like, there's just every minor character brings their A game and crushes it. The pudgy little friend. As often as you cry or as you laugh, you're also crying. It gets heartbreaking at moments and really, really deep at times. So it's not just a straight comedy, but it's also one of the funniest movies of the year. So, I mean, we're huge Taika Waititi fans, have been for a while, but it's so Taika Waititi, but like you said, also historically accurate, which adds a bit of seriousness to it with World War II. So, yeah, it's a great movie. We said in our review, a shocking Oscar contender, because it doesn't feel like an Oscar movie, but I think that,
not at all.
That's in the best way. So, yeah, awesome movie.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point that I wanted to mention. How tense! There's some really tense moments in this movie. So like you're laughing one scene, there's some hilarious Jewish humor in this movie, and then the next scene you're like, oh my god, this is nerve wracking. And ScarJo, I should mention, her performance was maybe my favorite of her career. She plays the perfect mom, so loving, and wonderful year for her, obviously. Number 8 for me is The Farewell. I think you gotta begin when you talk about The Farewell with Awkwafina. Mm-hmm. I did not think she had this in her. I kind of dragged my feet on this movie because I love Crazy Rich Asian. My least favorite part is Awkwafina's character. And I'm like, this looks kind of like a serious drama. I just don't think she has it in her. And she is so good in this. Yeah. She shows off her funniness, but it's more like toned down. It's so much a subdued performance. And her not getting nominated was criminal, but it is what it is. But I think it was my favorite acting performance from a female this year. And then the grandmother, just their relationship. The connection that they have on screen. I mean, your heart is just breaking. And I guess the premise of this movie is that the grandma is going to pass away. She has cancer. It's terminal. It's very far along, and they lied to her. They don't tell her that she's going to pass away, and that's a very common thing in Chinese culture to do, to lie to your grandparents about the fact that they're probably going to die soon. Lie about their test results. So they all go to China and they all visit her, pretending that there's a wedding, and it's such a fun. I guess fun's not the right word, but it's such a unique thing you haven't seen on screen before. There's a lot of culture in this movie that I wasn't aware of, and I think that's what's so great about seeing movies made by filmmakers of all different races. And this movie is relatively accurate. It's actually based off the director's experience with her grandmother. So yeah, I mean, it's a lovely, heartbreaking, funny at times movie. Just one of the better family dramas that I've seen in a long time. And
Didn't make my list, so we are 0 for 3 so far. But yeah, my favorite, like you said, Awkwafina is incredible. And yeah, she often plays like a caricature, like a cartoon character almost, especially in Crazy Rich Asians, where she's just turned up to 11 being insane. She's very mellow in this, but still just as charming and funny. But my favorite element of this movie was just the culture clash, seeing how China operates, especially in terms of medicine versus how we operate. And I don't want to spoil the ending because I think everyone should see it, but maybe they're right with holding that information. Maybe, it's really interesting how the movie ends with the end credits, and yeah, it raises a really interesting question about how we handle our ill here versus how they handle it there. But it doesn't give an outright answer, but yeah, it's an important thing, I think, to consider.
I had this written down. I didn't say it. Such an interesting and kind of beautiful outlook China has on things.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think it's between the brother who now lives in Japan and his brother who lives in America, both sons of the grandmother who's about to pass away. They make a line saying that the Japanese guy says that in America it's a me culture. Well, here it's everyone culture, and it's you throw the burden of death on one individual in America. Well, here we all take the burden of death and keep it off the person who's actually dying. So it's our cross to bear. That's why we're not going to tell her.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if I'd want to know. So I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
7, I'm sure Keen has this on his list. Knives Out.
Hell yeah.
The Whodunit in the modern times. This is how you do an ensemble movie. There's like 15 acting performances that I walked away loving in this movie. Yep. And he tells it completely differently than the normal whodunit is, because you know who done it before anyone else did. And I just loved it. I mean, I never knew what was happening in this movie. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around what's going on, but I loved it. Every character is so rich and full of life. The production of this movie, the house is a character. You don't know what's lying behind each corner. It gets like political at times. It's a very like modern family drama as well, but also it's a balanced thing. I don't think it's too far left. I don't think it's too far right. I think everyone could watch this movie and be like, yeah, I feel like my side was mentioned in it. But yeah, I mean, extremely well acted. Ana de Armas and did I get that right?
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas and Daniel Craig. They both kind of steal the show. The weird Cajun accent from Daniel Craig is I dug it from the second the movie started. It's so funny and so good. And yeah, I mean, Rian Johnson could do no wrong in my eyes. So yeah, I just love the characters, and I was buying it from the word go. I used the word go like 5 times in this review. But yeah, Knives Out, awesome movie.
Yeah.
Do you want to save your comments for later then? Or?
Yeah, I'll be talking about it later, but you hit on a lot of stuff.
Okay, cool. And that's my 10 through 7, so I'm going to kick it to Keegan.
Cool. Number 10 for me, John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. 5 words. No, 6 words. I don't know how many words. Knife throwing fight, followed by fight on horseback. That's all you need to know. Back-to-back scenes, or a knife throwing fight, and then John takes to the streets, killing people with his horse, fucking killing motorcycles on a horse. It's nonstop. There's cameos from random people as head of all these interesting houses and interesting parties throughout the city. The world established in 1 and 2 is even more fleshed out in this. John Wick sneakily has one of the most interesting canons of all time. The world that's made in that movie is so unique. I love neon. It's incredible. Just, yeah, the underground world of the assassins is so awesome. Kills are sick. This is Keanu Reeves at his reaviest. This is the weakest of the trilogy, but the trilogy is amazing. So this is still a very strong entry. It's not as good. I think 2 is a masterpiece. 3 is a bit of a dip. However, the kills, this has some of the highest highs. Like I said, the knife fight, the horseback fight. But it's just more John Wick. And just give me all of the John Wick. That's my number 10.
I didn't see it, but it reminds me that Mandy had a chainsaw scene in 2018. Everyone should go see Mandy.
Mandy's fucking awesome. Number 9.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see the John Wicks. I just haven't got to. Okay.
Yeah. I think even if you're not an action fan, though everyone's an action fan deep at heart if it's done well, and this is done super well. But yeah, just the lore that it's a deeper movie than you'd think on the surface. I haven't seen anything really like it before. Yeah, I think even you, Mike, would really dig John Wick just because the world is so cool.
Do you think it would make my top 10 though?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I want to see them. I'm planning on seeing them.
Yeah.
Are they anywhere?
John Wick 3 is on HBO right now, but I think you really you need to watch them in a row. Like, it's a true trilogy. Yeah. All right. Number 9, Uncut Gems. You got this one?
I do not. This was an honorable mention for me.
Interesting.
Very, very close.
I walked out of this movie kind of down on it, but I think because I felt exhausted watching it.
So tired.
Like, it felt long because it's unrelenting in its anxiety and stress-inducing, and Adam Sandler just being an absolute dumbass. But it's all better because of it. This is Adam Sandler at his peak, I think. Have you ever seen Sandler better than this? Have you seen Punch Drunk Love?
I've seen Punch Drunk Love. I don't love Punch Drunk Love because Punch Drunk Love is a very subdued performance by Adam Sandler. You can't subdue that man. And also PTA is so hit or miss for me. I mean, the highs of highs and lowest of lows when it comes to PTA. Yeah. I actually don't care for Punch Drunk Love. This is has it ever been better? I like Click. I'm kidding. No, especially recently. This is perfect for him. This is like the perfect drama for him because this character is kind of goofy and all over the place, like the Sandman. Right. That's his kill zone.
Yeah, there's twists and turns. There's a great performance from Lakeith Stanfield and Kevin Garnett. Surprisingly, very, very good.
It really is.
And again, there's more neon. Give me all the neon.
What is it? Gothic punk or something? What is it? What do you call it?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's a weird cyberpunk New York that they have here. I mean, we just reviewed this like last episode, so you know how I feel about it. I love the Safdie brothers. I'm very excited to see what else they do. I've only seen 2 of their movies, but man, they hit big with me.
Do they have any more?
I think they have like one other feature that was like distributed, and then a bunch of like short films and stuff. They did put out a short with Adam Sandler recently. I don't know if you watched that.
They did. I saw it. It was fun.
So yeah, hopefully, I would love for them to get Adam Sandler back because they got the best out of him. I'm really bummed he didn't get any awards recognition from the major outlets. I know he got a bunch of smaller critics ones. Yeah, I wish this would have done more awards-wise, but hey, it got my number 9 spot.
What Keegan said at the beginning is so true for me. I left this movie like I couldn't even wrap my head around it because I was just so exhausted. And I literally like came home, sat on my bed for like 30 minutes on my phone, then went to bed. It was like 7:30. I went to bed like at 8 after this movie because I was so tired. And yeah, it took me like a day after talking to 3 people who had seen the movie and our podcast really to wrap my head around it and be like, yeah, I really did enjoy that movie. And it's weird. Like this movie is actually put on like Kevin Garnett's back. If he can't sell the fact that the what's it called again? The rock.
The Opal. If
the Opal is actually like that important to him, this movie collapses on itself. So good for KG. Don't love the guy. It's kind of annoying, but he's really good in this movie.
Yes, he is. My number 8 was going to be on here somewhere. Avengers Endgame, the culmination of 23 films and 10 years of the Marvel Universe. Could not have done it any better. This year we had the ending of Game of Thrones, the ending of the Avengers as we know it, and the ending of Star Wars. And who would have thought that Avengers, of those 3, would have absolutely knocked it out of the park, and the other 2 would have fumbled as hard as they did. Is it a slow burn until an absolute culmination at the end of an incredible fight? Yes, but I kind of love the small moments that are built throughout. And going back and kind of revisiting some of the biggest hits of the Marvel Universe with the time travel is awesome. And then, man, everyone's seen this movie already, so spoilers. When the hammer comes flying back to Cap, I don't think there was a bigger moment this year culturally than that. That was fucking unbelievable, and it was built upon a small moment from Age of Ultron where he barely moves the hammer, and then 5 years, 6 years later, it pays off with him grabbing the hammer, and just so awesome. I saw this in middle of nowhere, Utah. I would not have done this for any other movie on this list, or maybe in my life where I would have sought out a movie in the middle of Utah just because I wanted to see it so bad. This was a cultural moment, and it absolutely belongs on this list.
That is fair. I thought they shocked me, and I came out here singing its praise after I saw it. And I said there, I'm like, this movie will be in my top 10. It's not in my top 10. However, I do think it's awesome. I don't think I would change a single thing. And Keegan's right. There's a lot of small moments here, and it all works. I loved how they shrunk the cast. That's what they kind of had to do, and they had just the main players from the original Avengers in there, which was the perfect thing to do. And the time travel, it allowed it. Time travel is kind of cheesy, but they do it really well.
Yeah.
And this movie works on every level, and it holds your attention for a 3-hour movie almost. It's really good. I think it might be my favorite Marvel movie. To do a decade, 23 movies, and have it not be an absolute disaster is one thing. To actually make it like culminating in arguably the best of all those movies is just mind-blowing.
And my number 7, in our Lost Decade episode, we talked about how comedy is kind of dead, except for, I guess, Booksmart. Booksmart, baby, my number 7. Olivia Wilde's directorial debut. Is it a bit formulaic? Yeah. Is it a bit like Superbad? Of course. But guess what? It's funny as shit. So it also teaches a good message of sometimes you just gotta chill, you know? It can't be all work. You gotta play a bit. You gotta have some fun, alright? And then great performances by the 2 lead actresses. I don't think, well, we'll get to it later. I haven't laughed this hard in a theater in a really long time. I guess that statement still stands. I haven't laughed in a theater this hard in a long time. Wall-to-wall comedy. The drama, like I said, is a bit formulaic with the inevitable 2 friends arguing late in the movie and then get together again. But it doesn't change the fact that I had a damn good time with it. It's not a very realistic portrayal of high school, I don't think. But it's a fun
I don't think it's meant to be, though.
No, it's a fun one. It's an over-exaggerated one. And then that kid steals the show. The weird, kind of loser kid that thinks he's awesome. He steals the show.
Caroline knows that guy?
Really?
Yeah. He went to USC.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah, that kid is
made out
so
with
fun.
one of her friends. Made out with, I think her, like, best friend from college, yeah.
Hell yeah. Good
she
for her and good for him.
Busting up, and her biggest laugh was seeing that man on screen. But yeah, that guy does steal the show. That guy is awesome.
Yeah, he's so funny. So yeah, number 7 for me, Booksmart. It's raunchy as hell too. Like my mom watched it and was like, "Oh, I did not expect that." Yeah, it's pretty out there.
You did a good job with that review. It is very formulaic. However, it's not. You're not there for the plot. You're there for the humor, and the humor is really good. I call it the female Superbad, and I didn't mean that in a bad way at all. It is a joyride. Mm-hmm. It's on my list because it was kind of a tad formulaic, and I kind of cringe at times. But it's a really good movie, and I think everyone would enjoy it. Wow. If you can get past the raunchy parts. Don't show this to your grandma.
No. Through 8 movies, we have 1 that overlapped. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that Booksmart was on my cutting room floor. Avengers Endgame was on my cutting room floor. I mean, someone is so upset that I'm saying cutting room floor right now.
I am. I think I am.
I think you are. And Uncut Gems was on my cutting room floor. Wow. All three of those were on, because all 3 of them are really good movies. I imagine all of mine you've really enjoyed too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You haven't made your list. So. All right, now it's my 6 through 4.
Yes, 6
through 4. At number 6, I have Honey Boy. It's Shia LaBeouf's, I guess, biopic. He wrote it in rehab. It was like part of his like rehab thing was kind of talking about why he's the way he is. And he wrote a screenplay, and then he mailed it to his friend who's only directs documentaries. And she said, yeah, I'll direct this movie. This is a really good screenplay. He's like, all right, I want to play my father. And she's like, ooh, I don't know if that's a good idea. But it was a good idea. It's just such an interesting movie because you can feel it's moving on like a bunch of different levels. Because I think most people would go in this movie knowing Shia LaBeouf's kind of story, at least a little bit. At least the fact that he's like was abused as a child, and just knowing that he's playing his dad who did this to him. I'm like, but then you're seeing what he did to him, and Shia LaBeouf's doing it to the actor that's playing him. It's just such an interesting thing. But it really struck with me. I remember walking out of the theater, and these two girls behind me going, "Did you like the movie?" And she's like, "Yeah, I love that movie." And she said, "Yeah, I read something the other day saying that Shia LaBeouf wrote this as a love letter to his dad." And I just started bawling my eyes out. And now I'm walking through the lobby of this movie theater crying, and I'm trying to pull myself together, and I just couldn't. I'm like sobbing. Yeah, there's something really neat and really special about this movie that I have never seen before. And I just think it's because Shia LaBeouf is putting his heart in the screenplay and in his performance, and he's trying to do his dad justice, which sounds weird because his dad is a bad guy, but maybe he had the right intentions. I don't know. And he got his dad's permission about this movie. He lied to his dad saying that Mel Gibson was going to play him, but actually Shia LaBeouf played his own dad. And yeah, just so much heart. That's what I wrote. So much heart, so much heart. And the child actor. My only gripe with this movie was maybe Lucas Hedges' not performance, but that character probably needed a little more oomph to it, because you just wanted to see the kid scene every time they cut to him. It was necessary for the movie, but it just didn't pack the same amount of punch. But
So Hedges does a really good LaBeouf impression. I think he nails a lot of the mannerisms.
Yeah, I shouldn't say bad acting. I didn't mean to say that. I just think that is the weakest part.
Yeah. I know when this movie was announced, the fact that he was playing his own father was kind of a punchline, and people didn't really take it seriously. LaBeouf proved them all wrong. This is a great movie. He's great in it as the father, and like you said, the kid scenes are probably, I don't know about better, but more welcome. I enjoyed the kid aspect of it more than the Lucas Hedges aspect. Didn't make my list. I mean, this year is like 25 movies deep for me.
Yeah,
I had a lot of 8 out of 10s this year, like a crazy amount.
It is a very deep movie, and this movie did not do well, but it will be on Amazon starting February 15th, I believe. Everyone go see it if you like Shia LaBeouf, which, come on, all our listeners do. Yeah. And I loved how it wasn't like directly based off of his life. He like tweaked with the timeline. I think it was the right choice. Mm-hmm. I think it was the right choice. All right, number 5, Midsummer. Ari Aster, that is his name, right? Yeah. Ari Aster. Ari Aster's second movie. I loved Hereditary from like a shot perspective, but not so much a story perspective. And then Midsummer came along, and I just dug it all over. Though I left the theater kind of confused on what to make of it. And then, like, for the next month and a half, I was just, like, all in on Midsummer. It also helped that it was the only movie I saw for, like, a 2-month period. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I wanted to see it so bad because there's so much here in the production design. Like, everything in the background is foreshadowing something that happens in the future in the movie. And I really want to see it again. I never got a chance to see it again. But Florence Pugh is kind of her coming out performance, and man, is she great in this. I mean, her character is heavy. I believe her sister passed away. There's a lot.
Her parents.
Wait, her sister like murdered or like killed her parents and herself. Yeah. It's heavy, and she just her face tells a million words in every scene in this movie. And they built this world. I think they went to Hungary and they built this whole village, but it was supposed to be in Sweden. Doesn't matter. They built this cult community, and it's just so vast. The limited you see is just this big, grand thing. He must have spent forever just thinking about everything here. And it's their festival, and it's just this creepy, slow burn to a dramatic ending, and just almost I don't want to spoil anything, but just, it just really revved my engines. And there's a great take-home message about, there's a really great take-home message here about just like toxic relationships at the end of it. Sure, it gets more dark and twisted than any toxic relationship I hope has ever gotten before, but if you're out there and you hate your partner, or your partner just keeps disappointing you, Just break up with him. Break up with him. That's what Ari Aster wants you to do. And Ari Aster actually wrote this after he was in a toxic relationship for like 4 or 5 years. This is kind of his coping mechanism. So very interesting guy to make this his coping mechanism. And then I think my favorite shot of the year and my favorite scene of the year are both in this movie, and it's both the ending because it's just so crazy and yeah, I love it. I love it.
Later on my list, so I'll talk about it then.
Ooh. And then 4, I just can't get this movie out of my head. I liked it leaving the theater, and now I'm just loving it, and I just keep reading about it. That's Little Woman. I didn't know what to make about the adaptation at first, and then when I read about it, I'm like, man, Greta Gerwig, you are a genius. The fact that she bounces around time periods was perfect because this is a linear story written in 1870, and she's like, I want to make it modern. All these themes about females like pursuing their own dreams and visions. I love that. That's what Lady Bird's about, and she wants to make this a timeless novel. She wants to make it more modern, I guess, and she puts her own twist on it. I guess not more modern because it does take place in the same time period, but she makes it for like the 21st century crowd. And we don't like slow burns, right? We have short attention spans. It's the ADHD generation. So the fact that she had the timeline kind of jumping around keeps you engaged, keeps you paying attention. So I love that aspect. Keegan, I think, said this. Charming. Everyone in this movie is charming. And like, granted, you probably got the 5 most charming people, including Laura Dern, on Earth in this movie. So it was low-hanging fruit. But they are charming as all hell. They're the most charming I've ever seen them. And I just want to jump into this world and immerse myself in it because it just makes living in 1870 seem awesome. Though also at the same time terrible for females. And I was confused about the ending at first, and the more I read about it, the more I realized that I love what Greta Gerwig did with it, with tweaking the ending a little bit. And I think in 1870, the novelist of this movie couldn't do her own ending that she wanted to do. So 150 years later, Greta Gerwig makes the ending that the author originally wanted to do, because it is based off her life. So the original novelist, this is based off her life and what she did with her sisters. So Greta Gerwig kind of pays homage to her with the ending, and I think it's actually beautiful. And the screenplay, I guess, there's a lot of quotes that say, "Is this fantasy?" at the ending, which I didn't know about until I read about it. Which it could be real life. You can take it for what it's worth, or you can take it as the last like 10, 15 minutes is just that's what the publicist wanted. So weirdly enough, this movie has like a million different interpretations you want to take with it too. So it's a very layered movie. I mean, Greta Gerwig is at the top of her craft, and she just nails the sophomore feature. So I loved it. That's Little Woman.
This is a movie that I feel like I'm on the outside looking in on. I think it's charming as hell, comforting as hell. It feels like comfort food. But yeah, you, Antonio, Film and Twitter are all like obsessed with it and love it. And I just think it's a fine, fun movie, but nothing really more than that. So yeah, it didn't make my list, but I did really enjoy it. But yeah, wasn't even really close to making my top 10.
Have you seen the side-by-sides where it's like a quote from Little Woman and a quote from Lady Bird, and how they're like fairly similar?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, she wants to do like female empowerment, and like, you know, like Joe, the character that Saoirse Ronan plays in Little Woman, and Lady Bird, she plays in Lady Bird, are actually like very similar people. It's very interesting. The fact that and like this book growing up was a big influence on her. So I just think it's makes me warm inside that she nailed this.
Greta Gerwig's awesome. She's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what else she does.
Yep. All right, on you.
All right, I finished off with the comedy. I want to start with the comedy this time. Dolomite is my name.
Oh, wow. I haven't talked to Keegan about this movie at all. I am stunned.
This is the movie I watched this week that bumped 4 movies out of contention. One of the best casts of the year. Eddie Murphy, thank you for coming back. God, I love that man. And he is excellent in that movie. I wish he got love because, man, he carries it. And it's just, speaking of feel-good movies, It's just a man that at age 50, he's like, you know what? I'm not happy where I am right now. I want to keep going. It's about persistence and hard work. And this man puts this film on his back, both literally and in the movie. And yeah, it's just kind of like just a don't give up message. I mean, again,
so inspiring. It's so inspiring.
Yeah, so inspiring. I mean, laugh out loud funny. Like, usually when I'm sitting at home, I'll like chuckle to myself. I was like guttural laughing at moments. The setting of the 70s, the costumes, everyone is giving it their all. Man, Dolomite Is My Name is just awesome and feel good. Yes, it's a bit formulaic, it's a bit cheesy at times, sure, but you know what? That's what it's there for. It's there to inspire, and man, does it inspire.
Yeah, I said it reminds me of Disaster Artist, but it's like so much better than Disaster Artist. Because this guy is, he's a legend. You look up to him at the end of this movie. I want to be him. Persistence. And yeah, Eddie Murphy, thank you for coming back. So funny. And you're right, this cast is incredible. You nailed your review. I'm happy you loved it, because I loved it, and this was really close to making my list. I think it was like 12 or 13, but it's a deep year. But yeah, phenomenal movie.
Good stuff. Number 5, The Two Popes. This is a movie like we reviewed last episode, I believe, that was catered to me. It's about Catholicism. It's about the argument of liberal versus conservative. It takes place in Italy. A lot of it's set in the Vatican. It's just, it's so good. But you don't need to be Catholic to enjoy it. You just need to have some understanding of left and right politics and leaning in those directions, and it'll hit just as well as anything. And then it's just about two men with great respect for one another that want the same thing for the church, but just have two different ways of getting there. And it's just two guys sitting in a room talking it out. Could not be any simpler. But for me, as a man that loves this topic of conversation, it just hit in all the right ways. It's not flashy or showing in any way. It's just two actors, the top of their game, duking it out on screen, and you're in for a bit of a ride. I love it.
This was my 11, Keegan. I had it up until Wednesday on my list. I know. This is a movie I thought I was going to hate. I mean, so was Dolomite. Those are two movies I was like, oh, thank God they're on Netflix, because I would never drag myself to the theater to see these movies. And then I saw Two Popes, and like 15 minutes in, I'm sitting up like, oh my God, and Dolomite, 15 minutes in, my ribs hurt because I've been laughing for the last 15 minutes. Yeah, I mean, this movie is so good. The two actors, I mean, their chemistry together. I mean, just back and forth. And me and Keegan are more on the side of Pope Francis, but I mean, Pope Benedict, you're like, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah. There has to be the Catholic Church is there for like a stable force. It's a rock. Yeah, I mean, both sides both feel strong. My only gripe with this movie was I wanted more of Benedict's side of the things, more of his background story and stuff like that. Though that would have been like a 3-hour movie, and me and Keegan were the only one that actually watched it in its entirety, probably. So maybe that's why I didn't do it. But yeah, it was nice to see Anthony Hopkins make another good movie. That man is a treasure, not a national treasure, because National Treasure 3 is coming out. It's in talks for Disney Plus.
Is he in those movies?
No. But I said not a national treasure because I would say he's British, but I'm just a national treasure. So, but yeah, I dug it. I mean, this movie on paper should be the boringest movie of the year, and it's not. It is riveting as all hell, and cute. These men are adorable.
Yes, they are.
I love their friendship. And the post-credit scene, is it a post-credit scene, Keegan? Or is it during the credits?
During the credits.
It's the best during-credit scene I've ever seen, I think.
I know, it's so good.
Just so good. The smile, pure glee across my face watching.
Of them watching the World Cup together. Just beautiful. Speaking of National Treasure, though, they did announce National Treasure 3. When we were in like 3rd grade, that first one came out, right? Have you seen it lately?
Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've seen it since like 4th grade.
Oh, that movie is awesome. That movie is so good.
Yeah.
But I said, when I was in like 3rd grade, that movie is so well written. It's so smart to tie in all this history and stuff. And you and another friend of ours absolutely laid into me for that comment. So 10 years later.
In 3rd grade?
Yeah. No, more than... 15 years later, Mike, go fuck yourself.
I mean, holy shit, holding on to grudges.
Yep.
I mean, wow, that's a 15-year grudge. Yeah, I like that movie.
Right,
yeah, it's really good. It's my favorite movie when I was in second grade.
I know.
Spider-Man was, but that was second.
Movie's sick. All right, number 4, Midsummer. A lot of the reasons Mike already said. This is our second overlap only. That's crazy. I'm very interested to see how this shakes out with our guests as well. Yeah, this is easily the prettiest movie of the year. And a lot of the time, just looking nice. I mean, you're going to have me. Look at John Wick 3. Look at Uncut Gems. Just give me some neon. Give me some nice things to look at. You're going to have me. But Midsummer is nice in a different way. It's not really a horror movie, but I guess it's kind of a horror movie. And it's told completely at daytime for the most part. And man, just the movement of the cameras, the flowers, the woods, the bright skies, the clear blue skies. It's just such a nice movie to look at. And then, like you said, Florence Pugh is astounding. I had seen her in Footing with My Family before this, but this was her true coming out party. I tweeted out in July, right after this movie premiered, that to be on the lookout for Florence Pugh, frontrunner for the Gleason, and then months later she comes out with Little Women as well. So just an incredible year for Florence Pugh. And then the supporting cast is great. Chidi from The Good Place, the dude from Sing Street. And there's just seeing each of their flaws slowly come out throughout the movie and seeing the missteps they take that end up being their undoing. It's so cool. It's a little too obviously mapped out with the things on the wall, but it's also kind of fun to see off in the distance things that are coming in the future from a scroll that's hanging from the wall. So it can be a shortcoming of it being too expected, but also it's a fun thing just in terms of production design of having these little hidden clues throughout the movie. So number 4, Midsummer.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Horror movie, completely in day. Everyone's blonde. Everyone's beautiful. Bright colors. Shouldn't be scary. I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they kind of the cheap thing with drugs, making everything kind of look a little warped, but I loved it.
Dude,
and you get
that scene is awesome. You're seeing.
That scene is awesome.
I was seeing faces in the woods that I wasn't I asked 10 people afterwards, did you see the face in the woods? They're like, no. I'm like, oh my god, was I just seeing shit? It really messes with the audience.
Yeah. Caroline's seen it twice since then, and she goes, yeah, Keegan just made that up. So.
Nope, it's there, baby.
But yeah, I agree. Man, great movie. And to have staying power for mid-July, let's be honest, we're human. Recency bias, is a factor. And that's a movie that I've been thinking about since mid-July. So me and Keegan always agree on a couple movies a year. I think if you listen to our Midsummer podcast, it would be that one. But yeah, I think there's another one coming up that we'll both agree on. Yeah, this is a movie I've been begging people to see all year because I saw it a long time ago, and I think everyone would love it. Is Last Black Man in San Francisco? It's on Hulu, and it's phenomenal. One of the prettiest movies ever. What were you going to say?
It's on Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime. Sorry, guys. On Amazon Prime. Keegan's a sucker for neon. I'm a sucker for, pastels. Big, bright colors. And this movie uses the color red, really nice. Everything's vibrant in this movie, and I loved it. The way it captures San Francisco, I've never been there before, but it just makes it look like a wonder world. And I think that they nailed gentrification phenomenal. And it's not heavy-handed hitting you over the head, but it just really kind of humanizes the whole entire thing of what actually is going on. And one of the better casts you'll see. I love the supporting actor in this movie. He's phenomenal. I would have loved to see a nomination there. So yeah, it's a screenplay that I think kind of keeps you guessing and really has a lot of heart. This movie's got all the heart. There's also more here than just, I guess, gentrification. This movie, I don't really know what I'm trying to say here. It's just, if you just saw a write-up for this movie, it would be extremely depressing because there's really nothing going right in any of the characters' lives that they follow. And they just get screwed over and over and over again throughout this movie. and like also get like their heart broken over and over again. But at the same point, it's just like it's beautiful, and just to pull that off is really something. And it's also a love letter to a city that doesn't want them anymore. I don't know. It's a movie that you would think would be heavy-handed, but it's not at all. There's just so much love and affection in this movie.
You nailed two things I was about to say. In terms of it being a love letter to a city that does not want them anymore. There's even a line where he says, "You can't hate this city unless you love it." Because on the bus, some woman is just like dogging San Francisco, and the dude's he's just like, "You can't hate it unless you love it," because the dude clearly loves the city, even though it's shoot him up and spit him out numerous times. And then in terms of it being heavy-handed, the way it has been described to me and the way I've read about it for months before I eventually got around to it this week was about it being about gentrification. And I was thinking, oh, it's going to be like this super heavy-handed, super obvious gentrification bad, blah, blah. But it's subtle. It's super subtle. It's like never even really like addressed outright. It's just showing how these people's lives change after being pushed out of the city. Yeah, man, it's a really pretty movie to look at as well. You're right. Never been to San Fran, but this movie makes you, like the character says, love and hate San Fran at the same time. It paints it in this beautiful landscape and it's so nice to look at, but it's also just kind of shitty the way it's forced people out, and the culture has become this Silicon Valley rich white urban area.
Cultureless,
yeah. So yeah, really good movie. Watched it this week. Yeah, the way you've talked about it over the last few months, I knew it'd be on your list. I thought maybe it could make mine. Didn't make the list, but yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I think everyone should watch it. It might be 2 hours, maybe, but man, it flies. It's really quick. And yeah, that supporting actor steals the show, dude. He's excellent.
His poetry.
Yeah.
So the water is like, oh. Yeah, chill.
I think they're all unknowns, right? Actor-wise?
Yeah, except for Danny Glover, obviously.
Right, obviously.
Who plays a blind.
But yeah, dude, the two... the lead and the supporting actor are excellent. Yeah.
The lead actor wrote the screenplay with the director, and it's loosely based off his life.
Right. Yeah. And you said that the twists and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot more than you'd think on the surface, just from reading about it. But yeah, it's good stuff.
One of my favorite shots of the year is the lead actor sitting on a bench waiting for his bus, and this nudist sits next to him, and it's like, this is what San Francisco was, the hippie and the blacks, and this bus drives up, and it's this party bus with these drunk white guys, and they scream, "This guy fucks, this guy fucks," and this nudist just doesn't say a word, but he just has this look on his face. It's very emotionless look, and it just sits on both of them as you hear, "This guy fucks, and the bus drives away. And it's like, both in that moment, they both realize that they lost San Francisco. It's not for them anymore. That these drunk white people took it from. That was one of my favorite shots of the year, one of my favorite scenes of the year, and that will always stick with me. Mm-hmm. Number 2 on my list, Marriage Story.
Dude, our list could not be any more different. It's crazy.
I mean, we have different tastes in movies.
I think we have the same number 1, but
this movie was just made for me. If anyone knows me, give me all the romance movies you can find. Yep. And I love heartbreaking romance movies. And the ending of this movie, just me thinking about it makes me want to cry. But getting more to everything else, Keegan said the movie looks like it's shot like shit. And then I rewatched a couple of scenes the other day, and I can kind of see that. But I think that's what they were going for, so I was cool with it. They were trying to make it realistic. Yeah. But ScarJo and Adam Driver are 2 of my favorite actors, and they're just perfect in this movie. They get the I love you, but I hate you chemistry. I think perfect. It never feels like it's forced. And people made fun of that fight scene, and it upset me because I think I think it's such good acting. Even if you say it's theater school, I don't know, man. I think if you just see that scene alone, maybe you think it's like, oh, it's theater school acting. But everything that's building up to that moment, it feels so right.
Yeah.
and the gripping scene where he sings, and it's just he finally kind of lets everything out in this number, and it's just like, oh, give me singing, give me romance, give me Adam Driver, and you have me. So yes, this was very much made for me. There's a lot of long dialogue scenes, which I always enjoy. Laura Dern's in this movie, and she's phenomenal. Ray Liotta is phenomenal in this movie too. My brother says he wants a Laura Dern Ray Liotta spin-off movie, which I'd watch that too. I just think that he went through a lot of work researching, and he went through divorce himself, and I just think through all his research and all the time he took, it doesn't make it just feels so real. And I think it's important to make it seem real because it's a thing that a lot of people go through. A lot of people get divorced in modern times. So I think that it could easily come off over dramatized. And I think it's kind of weak, but I get it. That it's an actor and a director, but he's kind of basing it off himself, so I get it. I do think it's kind of weak. It would be almost nicer if it was kind of like a middle-class family going through divorce, but I get it. That's my only gripe with this movie, but besides that, it stuck with me. I mean, I was a ball of emotions watching it, and the X factor was the actors. I mean, just two phenomenal performances.
They always say write what you know, so it being a director and an actor makes sense. My mother's review. Great movie. Adam Driver's a good singer, too. Wasn't expecting that. Yep. That scene's awesome. Like you said, it kind of bummed me out that the basically climax scene with them fighting in the one room became a bit of a joke on Twitter. Because, man, I was bawling my eyes out during that scene.
Yeah.
When Driver finally breaks down, that hit so hard for me. Didn't make my list, but yeah, dude, these two had such good years, and I think this is the peak for both of them. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just wasn't. It was a few good, powerful scenes, but that's kind of it. The rest of it was just like, okay. But yeah, the framing it through, I don't know, and also Noah Baumbach, it just felt overly written, which I think the actors even came out and said, like, there was no improvisation at all. It was all on the page, and it feels overwritten at times. But framing it through divorce, man, divorce looks brutal. We were both fortunate enough to come from households with parents that are still together. But the movie kind of turned me off to ever getting together with anyone.
It can. It definitely can.
Oh, man, it's awful. It's these two people that at one point in time cared about one another that you're just mudslinging for months trying to get custody of a kid and, like, win the divorce. And it's brutal, man. So brutal.
Yeah, and I think the one scene where it's the other lawyer, the old guy, he's like, I mean, this is just a battle for right now. Like, in 10 years, he's going to go to college, and maybe he'll pick New York. Like, it's eventually going to be his decision, like, who wins the divorce. It's not what the courts decide. Yeah, but I could see how you say it's overwritten, but I like overwritten stuff. I mean, I love Richard Linklater, and you probably think he overwrites stuff. I love Woody Allen, and people probably would think he overwrites stuff. So this is very much up my alley. Give me long monologue dialogue scenes, and I will chew it up. I love it. All right, Keegan, 3 through 2.
3 through 2. Number 3, Mike talked about it already. Knives Out.
Woo!
I'm a massive Rian Johnson fan. From Brick to Looper to Breaking Bad to The Last Jedi. He did such a good job taking genres we already know and injecting his own spin on things. I mean, you've probably already seen it by now. I think everyone should see Knives Out, but you haven't. Slight spoilers ahead. He gives you the answer about 30 minutes in, and then the whodunit isn't really who did it, it's how is she going to get away with it. And it's such an awesome spin on that genre. It's so fresh. The cast is incredible. In a cast of Chris Evans, Daniel Craig, Don Johnson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, somehow Ana de Armas is the best part of it. So kudos to her for just shining through when she's surrounded by amazing actors. one of the best casts of the year, if not the best. Yeah, it's just a fun-ass movie, dude. It's hilarious. It's so entertaining from beginning to end. And then, yeah, Daniel Craig's Cajun accent, man. I'm so happy that they're going to be making more of these kind of movies with him as the lead, because just give me all of them. Give me 20 of them right now. I can watch this guy for days. My one complaint really is that Keith Stanfield is really underused because he's an amazing actor, one of the best around right now, and he has nothing to do. But besides that,
a lot of movie.
Yeah. Besides that, though, it's just such a fun ass time. Yeah, it's great. It's my dad's favorite movie of the year, which is saying a lot because my dad is not a movie guy at all, but absolutely loved it. Couldn't stop talking about it, and I agree with him. It's awesome.
And it's a box office smash hit. $280 million on a $40 million budget.
Mm-hmm. These are the movies I love and root for to be made. Modest budget that just crush it. Because they don't really exist anymore, the $40 million movie.
Who is behind this? Lionsgate. Man, Lionsgate. Me and Keegan were talking about this off air before we started. Lionsgate. Sneaky good, man. Sneaky good. Good year for them.
And number 2 for your boy.
I should know this, but I don't. I have no idea.
Falcon. Yeah, the Peanut Butter Falcon for me is number 2.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
I talked about Dolomite as the feel-good movie of the year. It's Peanut Butter Falcon is the number 1 feel-good movie of the year. Shia LaBeouf, man, like I've said before, I'm a huge fan of. But yeah, this is my favorite movie from him. Him and this guy with mental. What is it? What does he have?
Mentally
Asperger's?
handicapped.
What does he have? I'm gonna look this up before I get this wrong. Down syndrome. Okay. So the movie is basically Huckleberry Finn, but starring Shia LaBeouf and a kid with Down syndrome, and it's just so feel good. These two, their bond, their brotherhood that grows over the course of the movie is just so awesome to watch. You feel for these two guys, two dudes on the run for different reasons. One escaping his past and the loss of his brother, the other escaping a life at a home that doesn't respect his wants and wishes. Just trying to live their life on the road. And then Dakota Johnson, who I've ridiculed in the past, is thinking not a good actress. She's really good in this, and super charming. And just, yeah, the kind of the makeshift family they make over the course of their journey is awesome to watch. My mom turned to me after the movie ended with just so many tears in her eyes. Oh my God, that's the best movie I've ever seen. Just bawling her eyes out. And yeah, man, I was crying too. It's just so feel good and so fun, and I loved it. Loved it so much. It's such a small movie too that got zero recognition this year. I'm not sure how well it did at the box office, but
it was a box office hit. It's a true indie, meaning that it was made without any distribution in sight. It got out there and it made $20 million on a $3 million budget.
Hell yeah. If you guys can find it anywhere, I highly recommend it. It makes you feel good for its entire runtime. And sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, so I knew Keegan loved it. I was upset I missed it in theaters. I watched it this week, and everything Keegan said is true. It is feel good to the max. I feel like when we were kids, these movies were very commonplace. Movies like this, kind of just like an adventure movie that just made you feel really good inside. And I feel like it doesn't get made anymore for a number of reasons. Mm-hmm. So it was great. It felt like a throwback movie in all the good ways.
Maybe that's why it hit so hard for me.
What were we gonna say?
Maybe that's why it hit so hard for me. Yeah, it's just it throwback to just fun adventures that we don't really see anymore. Yeah,
it's a shame because it's an adventure movie, and you said it is Huckleberry Finn. They didn't shy from that. They said they wanted to make a modern telling of it. And you get Bruce Dern, which Keegan didn't tell me Bruce Dern was in it. He kills the 4 scenes he's in. He destroys. It's the best part of this movie. He's not, but he's really good. Yeah, I love this movie. It was close. It was close to making my list. I think if I maybe saw it in August in the theater and I had some time to sit on it, I think it might make my list. It is extremely feel good.
Maybe
A
seeing
little
with
too
my
formulaic,
mom.
I guess. That's why I didn't put it in. A little formulaic, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, maybe seeing with my mom influenced it a bit because it's one of my favorite theater going experiences this year. Just because that reaction just like made my day, just so happy and heartfelt. I've had a soft spot for this movie ever since I saw it, and it was gonna make the list somewhere, and happened to be number 2.
And me and Keegan overuse this phrase. Everyone would like this movie.
Yeah.
But everyone would like this movie.
I mean, yeah, it really can't miss. There's nothing not to like about it.
Yeah, phenomenal. Hey, man, Shia LaBeouf, man. We love you. Huge fans. Come on the show. All right, now on the count of 3, me and Keegan are going to say our number 1 movie of 2019. All right, ready, Keegan?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Parasite? Yeah. I mean, that was a
Shazam!
no-brainer.
Oh, no!
Yeah. I think we both said back in September. Did this come out September or October? October. Back then, we both said, this is going to be a hard movie to beat in terms of our number 1 of the year. Yeah, man, and nothing really even came close to beating this. This was a fucking stone cold lock from the second I walked out the theater.
I kind of almost put Marriage Story out of it. It was close. But I mean, me and Keegan cried this in October because it is that good. I mean, me and Keegan didn't know a single thing going into the theater about this. And man, it blew me away.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you know you're witnessing a masterpiece while you're in the theater. But you're sitting there like an hour and a half and you're like, this is something out of this world good. Yep. And this is the reason why you watch movies, to see stuff like this.
And it's so awesome to me that this has a chance to win Best Picture. It's not a lock by any stretch because the Academy blows and they hate foreign movies, but that this has gained momentum over the last couple of weeks. It's been winning major awards. I think
it won the Best Editing Guild and it won the Actors Guild. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, if you're maybe not sure about watching foreign movies, I think make this your first one. This is such an accessible movie. It's so funny. Anything you think might be a detriment to foreign movies, this completely shuts them down. It's funny as hell, despite being a different language. It's super well acted. You can tell these people are at the top of their game. I've said that 20 times this pod. You can tell these people are crushing it, despite the language gap. This is just an amazing movie, regardless of the language being spoke. This transcends so many barriers that it might have.
Yeah, and it's weird because we hated Roma last year, and I just didn't want it to win. And now I'm just beating the drum. But yeah, there's a lot of people that I knew that had never seen a foreign language movie before and walked out of the theater going, "Oh my god, I loved that movie." And foreign films are where it's at. I mean, there's so many good foreign movies out there. So yeah, if you can, this is a great introduction, like Keegan said, to the world because a lot of the really good ones have really original, great plots like this one. It is so original. And the twists and turns and it changes genres. I don't know if I've seen a movie change genres.
No.
It changes genres 3 times in this movie.
Yeah.
And the cast is so good.
It's so unique. I've never seen anything even remotely close to this type of movie. I've seen Bong Joon-ho movies before, and he's an awesome director, but this is a masterpiece, like Mike said. Halfway through it, you're watching something special.
Yeah, and as you've seen by our top 10s, me and Keegan don't agree on much, but this is both number 1, which really says a lot right there. But it's got everything. In a way, it's almost every genre.
I know,
wrapped into one movie.
Yep,
it really is.
Family drama, comedy, suspense, thriller, horror. It's just
some love sprinkled in there.
Yeah, it's oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's also just shot so well. This is just a nice movie to look at. The setting, that house is I want to live in that house so bad, and the way it's shot just even makes it better. And yeah, the theme of the wage gap and classism, and it's a fun.
You never
movie.
even got to the political thing. Yeah, I mean, it's layered, but there's no heavy-handedness at all.
No,
not even an ounce.
It's just
it's the opposite of Vice.
For me, it's so clearly the best movie of the year. One of the best of the last 10 years. In 10 years, when we do our 2020s wrap-up pod, this will be in discussion. This is rare.
This came out in the last decade.
What'd you say?
This came out last decade.
Oh shit, you're right.
And I put it in my top 10, just gut. That's got to be in there.
It's good. You're right. Good call, Mike. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I don't have enough nice things to say about this movie.
I think
go see it.
I think some theaters are doing like a Best Picture showcase. If that's coming to an area near you and you haven't seen Parasite yet, do yourself a favor and check it out before the Academy Awards, because I think it'll do very well there and may win Best Picture. So do yourself a favor.
If it wins Best Picture, I will cry.
Yeah. A couple pods ago, I said the one thing I'm rooting for is for Rian Johnson to win Best Screenplay. And though I am pulling for that, that's unlikely. The much more likely thing I'm pulling for is Parasite winning Best Picture.
Yeah, I've been doing these makeshift lists because they're makeshift. Let's be honest. For since 2013, and never has my favorite movie won Best Picture, even snuffed it. Actually, boy, it came really close. But if this pulls it off, I will just be. Order will be restored, and my eyes in the Academy will be one again. I don't think it's gonna happen because I have no faith in the Academy. But if it happens, my face.
Awesome. So, Mike, let's get your top 10 again.
My top 10, in a particular order, is... I have One Tree My Neighbor down here. What's it called? A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is 10.
That's crazy that you're a 10 movie you didn't know the fucking name of. Amazing.
9, Jojo Rabbit. 8, The Farewell. 7, Knives Out. 6, Honey Boy. 5, Midsummer. 4, Little Woman. 3, Last Black Man in San Francisco. 2, Marriage Story. 1, Parasite.
Me, I have number 10, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Number 9, Uncut Gems. Number 8, Avengers Endgame. Number 7, Booksmart. Number 6, Dolomite Is My Name. Fucking Up Motherfuckers Is My Game. Number 5, The Two Popes. Number 4, Midsummer. Number 3, Knives Out. Number 2, The Peanut Butter Falcon. And number 1, Parasite. Honorable mentions for me. These are the 4 movies that were duking it out for that 10 spot before Dolomite is Rocket Man, 1917, Jojo Rabbit, and How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Unknown World? I forget what it was called.
I think that's what it is. I'm happy you put that there because that score, let alone deserves it. For me, Peanut Butter Falcon was on the cutting room floor. Us, Dolomite Is My Name, and Fucking Up Motherfuckers Is My Game. It's crazy how that line hits every single time, and they say it 40 times in the movie.
Yeah,
maybe 100.
So good.
The Two Popes. I had The Irishman on there. Yeah, I had The Irishman on there. And then Uncut Gems.
Oh, The Hidden World. Not The Unknown World, The Hidden World. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Ken, I liked your list. You hit a lot of movies that I liked and I kind of wanted to put on there. So
yeah, like we said, there were like 20 to 25 movies in contention. At one point in time, Doctor Sleep was like in contention for like the 11 or 12 spot. Like, this was a really good year for movies. I gave out so many 7.5s, 8s, 8.5s this year. It's crazy. Like my number 3 have been set. My top 4 really have been set for the last couple months. So it was much harder for me to get the 8, 9, 10 range locked down.
Did I mention that Us was in my honorable mentions?
No.
Did I say that? That was a movie that, like, it was almost in my top 10, and I was like, I really liked Us. I was kind of hard on that movie at off the bat because it kind of collapsed on itself when you really think about it. Man, that was a great movie. It was very original. It was a good time. Okay, so now we're going to get to everyone else's, and they do top 5s because they're less important than us. So, I'm doing this in order of the way they were sent into us, starting with the oldest. So the ones who sent it in first is the way I organized the emails. But Charlie Seacrest actually sent us his top 5 during the making of this podcast, so he will go first.
I think he did that back-to-back years.
Yeah, he gets in late, but he's always on time. Does that make sense now? Charlie was on the Vice pod. He was on the Best Soundtracks pod. Longtime friend. So his top 5. Number 5, Jojo Rabbit. Number 4, Uncut Gems. Number 3, Parasite. Number 2, 1917. The kid loved 1917.
Yeah.
And number 1 for him was Lighthouse. So
Lighthouse, I think Lighthouse will make a big splash from our guess.
I agree.
We didn't mention it in ours, but Lighthouse is some good shit. Mike did not like it at all.
Yes, there's 2 movies on here that me and Keegan have yet to talk about. 1917. My thoughts on that movie is beautiful. It is a stunning movie. However, it kind of the one shot kind of upsets me at certain points. I think it becomes a crutch, and it's kind of a cheap gimmick. And the plot's not great, but visually stunning. If Deakins wins Best Cinematography, I would be happy. I don't know if there's a prettier movie this year.
It was in my honorable mentions. It was one of the 4 duking it out. Yes, the one shot is at the same time both the best and worst part of that movie. It makes for the great cinematography. Roger Deakins is an absolute GOAT of the game. He should win. Now that he finally won, hopefully they just start pouring him with awards.
I think he's going to win again.
I think he will. Hopefully he will. But it's also the biggest issues I have with the movie are because of the one shot. So it's a huge give and take in that regard. But good luck,
maybe I'm a
Charles.
loser, but I'm sitting there being like, okay, so where do they actually cut it? And I'm like, oh, okay, they cut it there. Yeah. Maybe that's because I suck.
Yeah. No, I was doing the same thing.
Yeah. And then his number 1 movie was Lighthouse. That's a movie I didn't care for. I mean, it's pretty as hell. That might be the best cinematography of the year, too. I was so pumped it got nominated. And Dafoe and Benson gives 2 great performances. However, I like movies that get weird, but there needs to be a message you're trying to get across or something. This movie's crazy for just being crazy. And that's fine if you go into the movie just being like, let's have a good time. I went in this movie thinking it might be my favorite movie of the year, and I was just massively disappointed.
I think expectations both killed it for you and raised it for me, where I was told it's the best comedy of the year. So it's like, oh, I should look at this movie differently than I expect. So, yeah, for you it killed it, for me it raised it up, and I really like that movie. I think Cody and Arata will have that at number 1 or very close to. So Lighthouse will make a big splash once we tally all these together, I believe. But who's up next?
I should say that I do like 1917, though. I didn't say anything nice about it, but it is a good movie. I gave it an 8 or 7.5 still. Okay, so the next person is Cody McCune, Mrs. Holland's favorite cast member or special guest. We need to get Cody on here again. He hasn't been on here in a long time. Always a good time. As Keegan predicted, Lighthouse at number 5. Number 4, Us, which I talked about. That movie kind of snuck up on me. How much I actually did like it. Lupita Nyong'o's performance alone.
Yeah.
Number 3, Midsummer. Number 2, Waves. Keegan talked about it last podcast. He gave respect to it. You can talk about it.
Yeah, Waves is good. Didn't blow me away. A lot of it felt like the director wanted to direct music videos with spinning camera shots, and it's very stylized. But this is also a movie, much like Parasite, where there's like multiple movies crammed in. And I guess The Rise of Skywalker for that same reason, where it feels like multiple movies are jammed together. But yeah, at the halfway point, the movie just kind of completely pivots and has a different point of view character, different protagonist. So it's interesting in that regard, but it just didn't blow me away. It's very good, but it wasn't top 10 worthy for me, but number 2 for Cody.
I didn't see it. It was on my list, but it just didn't show anywhere. It kind of just lost all steam. Yeah. But hopefully I'll catch it someday. And number 1, we can't object to this. Number 1 is Parasite.
Hell yeah.
Let me add these. So, do you want me to just go through these lists, or when there's a movie we haven't talked about yet, to stop and let us talk about it?
If it's something hasn't come up before, we'll talk about it.
Okay. So then just stop right there.
Yeah.
and talk about it?
Yep.
So there's been 2 movies that I made a list of all these movies, and I didn't add 2 movies in here. One was Waves. I didn't think anyone would have it in there. And the other one was Peanut Butter Falcon, which was just an undersight by me because I knew you liked that movie. Next one is Jacob Rossi. Dude loves animation, disclaimer, and Hercules is his favorite movie of all time. If Hercules is number 1 on this list, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it was last year, right? Because wasn't he...
It was, no. He wrote Hercules 1 through 150, but in there were 5 movies that I had to track through.
Yeah.
So let's see what he's got this year. Okay. Yeah, she went 1 through 5 with Downey Hercules. So that's good. Number 5, Toy Story 4. That's a movie that if I would have saw that in a box without ever seeing any Toy Story movies, I think I really would have liked it.
In a vacuum.
But man, I just have in a vacuum. In a box. In a box works. But having so much relation with those characters and them meaning way too much than they should to me, I just hated that movie, kind of. Keegan?
I really like that movie, but it's kind of like the Godfather 3 of the Toy Story series or franchise, where you have these 3 masterpieces, and Godfather's obviously too, and then this just isn't at that level. It feels unnecessary, but there are really good moments. Like, I still cried at the end of it, and I saw someone contextualize the movie as it's 2019 and the old white man is trying to find his purpose in the world. When the world seems to cast him aside and not want him anymore, it's his journey to kind of find where he fits in it all. That kind of fits for Woody as the castaway toy that was dedicated for 20 years to this one kid, and now he doesn't really know where he belongs anymore. And yeah, that message hits home. It's still a really good movie. It's the best looking Pixar movie, I think. Like, there's a scene with a cat that is just a real life cat, it looks like, but it's animated. It's really impressive. It's coming off the back of 3 10 out of 10 perfect movies, and just doesn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, Keen did a better review of this movie than I did. I just kind of said, I like the first 3, fuck this movie, where Keegan actually went more into it, is more articulate with his take on it. Yeah, Keegan's right. This, by no means, is a bad movie, but the other 3 are just magnificent, and Toy Story 3 especially, I just think it's the perfect ending for all of that. And maybe I'm like Star Wars fans and just get upset at things when I care about it, because I care about Toy Story way more than I care about Star Wars. So maybe I just don't like anything new. I mean, that is fair. I'm not even trying to be funny here. I think maybe there's just too much invested in it, and I just don't like change. And it kind of hurt the ending. It kind of upset me.
Yeah. It would be like making a sequel to Return of the King. Like, you wrapped it up perfectly, there's nowhere else to go, and yet you make another one. 4, surprisingly, has an organic place in the franchise. Like, on the surface level, it feels like it's just bolted on, like it's the redheaded stepchild, it doesn't fit, but it does organically work within the franchise. But you also have the perfect ending, so it is weird to keep the story going.
But the ending in this does deliver. It does. It hurts.
Yeah, big time.
Number 4 on his list is Shazam, which is a movie that I want to talk about. I love Shazam. In
our podcast, it was me, you, and Liam, and you were the one that was highest on it.
Yeah. And, like, I came in low, and maybe this is the expectations thing. I thought I was going to hate it, and I loved it. It kind of felt like a Nickelodeon movie from back in the day, like a made-for-TV Nickelodeon movie almost, but in all the good ways. It made me feel like a child inside, which it's a very much like a children's movie, so I think that's what it should hit with you. And it delivered for me. It's a Christmas movie. I will stand on a soapbox and scream that out loud. But yeah, I really like Shazam. Good on him. I love how he's like ridiculously jacked too, like inflatable arms jacked. Yeah. Everything worked. A sequel won't work for me in this movie, but everything worked in this movie.
Yeah, no, it's a super fun movie. And I think this is the direction that DC should go in. Shazam's really good, and the 2 lead actors are great. Both Billy and his disabled, like, crutch-ridden brother are fantastic. The kid from It. I think the ending is a little weak when they all get powers, and the villains, though they all represent a different Seven Deadly Sin, they're still just gray monsters, and they could have gotten like way more creative with it. But yeah, Shazam's a fucking really fun time and one of the better DC movies, and I'm excited to see where it goes because it's going to be a hard thing to follow up with, but if they can nail it, they did a really good job with the first one.
I saw it by myself, too. I loved it. It's a weird movie to see by yourself, too. Yeah, Keegan brings up interesting arguments to it, but I didn't care. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So the next movie on the list, I put it in this Excel sheet before we started because I thought Rossi would have it in his list, and that's the Lion King remake. Neither me and Keegan saw it. Nope. I think me and him are deadly against it, so we're just not going to talk about it. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. Keegan loves it, obviously. And then his number 1 was John Wick 3, which Keegan also loves. These guys were roommates for 5 years. You could tell they got along based on those 1 and 2.
We all watched, me, Owen, and Jacob, Owen's another mutual friend of ours, watched them all at similar times, but like all independently. Like, we didn't know we were doing it. And then we text each other like, "You guys seen John Wick?" We're like, "Oh yeah, I just started watching it like yesterday." Like Owen watched 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back. I watched it like a week later, and then Jacob watched them all in a day probably because he's a lunatic. But yeah,
same
dude.
Time.
Like I said before, John Wick has an amazingly deep lore that I think anyone can get in because it's such a cool world they build. So yeah, watch John Wick, please. I mean, the third one did the best of the 3. They're making a 4th one, so hop on the train now, ladies and gentlemen. Watch John Wick.
I think, knowing Jacob Rossi here, and he was on this podcast, How to Train Your Dragon 3 did not make it.
That's shocking.
That is shocking. And that's too bad, Jacob. You're better than that. Now we go to Mr. Black Klansman himself.
Hell yeah.
Liam Garvin. He had the farthest way to send this email to, all the way from, where is he staying at these days?
He's in Edinburgh.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Number 1, Detective Pikachu. Number 2,
Shut
Rise
up.
of the Skywalker. Implying that Emperor Palpatine has unprotected sex. 3, the scene in Boyhood when they go to the Harry Potter midnight premiere.
This is a joke.
4, Yummy by Justin Bieber. 5, every film produced by Kerner Entertainment Company.
Hell yeah, my guy.
That's where Keegan worked at for the last 4 months. Number 6, Joker doing the stare dance. Hashtag down with Mike and Keegan. Hashtag Antonio and Liam. Hashtag true house. This is his real top 5.
Okay.
Number 5, Marriage Story. Man, Mr. Black Klansman has impeccable taste.
Impeccable. Jesus.
Number 4, Midsummer. Number 3, Jojo Rabbit. Number 2, Little Woman. And number 1, Endgame.
Yeah. He texted me earlier and he said, "I will not apologize for putting Avengers at 1. I haven't thought about anything else other than that since. Get off my back." Something along those lines. And yeah, that's totally fair.
And he wrote this blurb: 2 ScarJo movies, 2 Pug movies, only means one thing. Black Widow is going to be the greatest film of all time. He goes, correction, 3 ScarJo movies, exclamation point, not 2. Black Widow might be my Citizen Kane.
Wait, so he had Endgame, Marriage Story, and yeah, JoJo, yeah. Dude, I know the Gleason for the last couple of years has been kind of an unknown that crushes it. ScarJo has the biggest movie of all time and 2 Oscar-nominated performances. It's hard to argue that she's had one of the best years of all time.
Yeah, me and Keegan off screen, I don't know if we talked about on here, but me and Keegan talk about the Gleason often via text message. We were crowning Florence Pugh in, like, I don't know, July. It's been a long time coming. And now ScarJo has just snuck in here and has made a real case for it. It'll be interesting. I am also currently putting these numbers in the wrong order. So,
yeah.
Remember one year I messed up the order and we had to do a correction tweet? Yep. Hope that doesn't happen again. I do want to say this. I like this list. Mr. Black Klansman always delivers. Endgame number 1. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we usually have Liam on for comic book movies. He loves them, and that is a terrific comic book movie.
Yes.
I love his Little Woman too, though. He's got a sweet spot. He's got a sensitive side.
Mm-hmm. I think I had to convince him to see that movie too. I think, funnily enough, I might talk to Liam, besides my family, more than anyone else in the world.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like it at all, but it is what it is.
You know, Liam texted me right after you saw Midsummer, and we had a nice little conversation. So I would love to visit him in Scotland. It's not going to happen because I have no free time or money, but it would be awesome.
Actually, I probably talk to Rossi the most, which sucks.
But that should just text you. You're not asking for it, and he just pops into your text messages. Ryan McDermott, who last year he sent an apology letter with his top 5 saying, "I'm sorry, I will do better next year." Let's see if he does better this year. Number 5, Knives Out. Number 4, 1917. Number 3, Little Woman. Here's a new one to the list, which is kind of surprising. It's been this long since someone said it. Number 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Ooh.
And number 1, Parasite. Keegan, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah. So obviously we put out a review of that, and it was our biggest difference we've ever had on the podcast. You gave it a 9.
I gave it a 9.
And I give it a 4. So a 5-point spread. I hate that movie. However, I look back on that movie so fondly just because individual moments are amazing. Brad Pitt is so good, and he will win the Oscar. That's like one of the few locks we have so far. And it's maybe the best he's ever been. But as a whole, I despise that movie. It's Tarantino's worst impulses unchecked for close to 3 hours. But that doesn't stop the fact that he is my favorite writer, one of my favorite directors, and he's gonna make great stuff and have such high quality production. But for this film, it was overkill for me in a lot of ways.
I think you've gone more closer to liking it, and I've probably gone a little farther away from liking it. I still think it's a really good movie. However, when you take Tarantino's whole body of work, it's not anywhere close to the top 5. I love the last 15, 20 minutes of it, and I love the slow burn with characters. It's really good character development, and I really enjoy both Leo and Brad Pitt's character. More Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt really carries this movie, but both characters.
Yeah, it's.
But as time has passed, I was kind of bored for a lot of the movie. And you come to expect, a lot of twists and turns, which he gives here, but just to a lesser extent. If I saw this movie and this was the first movie I ever saw by Quentin Tarantino, I probably would like it a lot more. But seeing as that I've seen 9 good movies by him. It barely scratches even like the surface as far as how good Quentin Tarantino is. And Keegan said, I mean, there's a lot of scenes that if anyone would have had any somewhat control over this movie, be like, do you need this scene? Is this scene necessary? But it's Quentin Tarantino, and he can do whatever he wants at this point. So you're right. Unchecked.
There's entire characters and arcs that you could ask the question, do you really need this? Speaking more bluntly, the Sharon Tate aspect of it, she's in it more than I think she needs to be. The Bruce Lee cameo, I don't know. It's just a lot of I love Hollywood, so here's all of the Hollywood, it feels like.
And the Oscars eat that up.
Right. Yeah, this is my most disappointing movie of the year because I hold this man in such high regard. He's made some of my favorite movies of all time. Multiple that are in the top 10 and top 25. But yeah, this was just a miss for me. I'm surprised. I didn't really think about it once you were giving your top 10 and how it wasn't included. But after remembering our initial discussions of how high you were on it before, it's interesting to see it's not on there. But you explained yourself well enough where it has kind of slipped over the last couple months. It's
kind of slipped. It's a deep year. I think maybe last year probably my top 10. It probably would have. It's a deep year. It was like probably 18 or 19, so it was above 50%, which I guess isn't saying that much. But before going in this movie too, I said I heard from a review, it's the closest thing to Pulp Fiction that he's ever done, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna get like a bunch of crazy action, just like great characters. and it was a slow burn. It's almost close. It's really similar to The Hateful Eight, really. If I had to say something, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes of dialogue and 15 minutes of action, 10 minutes of action. So yeah, he's getting out of the game because he says, "I'll be honest, it's a young man's business." I think he knows he's slipping. I think deep down he knows he's slipping.
Yeah, his last 3 movies are Django, Hateful Eight, and this.
Yeah.
I love Django. It's in my top 3 for him, I believe. Yeah, top 3. But then Hateful Eight is like a solid 7 out of 10. I think it's like just totally it's above average, obviously, but for him it's just like it's okay. And then this completely missed for me. So I don't know. I don't think he's slipping because the craftsmanship is still there. It's just I want him to kind of check himself, and I think maybe his editor died, and I don't know. He's just going on these like long tangents at times, and I don't know. I think he can easily get back to excellence with his next movie. But yeah, the last 2 have not been promising.
He says he wants to do a really small movie to end it, which I think would be awesome.
Be great.
Let's get Reservoir Dogs in here.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Sick.
McDermott, though, no need to apologize this year. That was a solid list. Here's Arado. Keegan's the lover. He's never been on this podcast, and I really don't know how. I even had a text Keegan. Has Arado been on our podcast? And he goes, shockingly, no.
Yeah.
We made an exception for this. Well, we're going to get him on soon. We'll pencil him in.
And
but his list.
He's probably seen the most movies of any of the guests, and he's probably seen more movies than you this year. He's seen a lot.
Yeah. At number 5 is The Irishman.
Wow.
Number 4, Booksmart. Number 4, Booksmart. Number 3, Parasite. Number 2, Uncut Gems. And number 1, Lighthouse.
Yeah. I knew how high he was in The Lighthouse.
Keegan, do you want to share your thoughts on The Irishman?
I don't like the movie. No, I do like the movie. The movie is always, I've said this before, it's always good and often gets to great. It's just 3.5 hours long. It completely overstays its welcome. De Niro is completely outclassed by Pacino and Pesci. I wish it focused more on the Jimmy Hoffa element of the story. However, he's not introduced until an hour plus into the movie. I wish it just was kind of that era of it and less about De Niro, because I think he's way less interesting than those 2 characters.
What did I not put The Irishman on this list? That is wild. No, I did. I just didn't put the. Yeah, I agree with Keegan. The best part of this movie is Pacino as Hoffa. I like the movie. If Godfather didn't exist, if this was Martin Scorsese's first movie of all time, I would give this movie probably 10 out of 10. But we've seen this over and over again. It is Goodfellas. It is Godfather. It's everything Scorsese's ever done. And once again, this was killed by critics saying, "Oh, he took what he's always done, but man, he put a new twist on it." No, he didn't. He even brought the same actors. Joe Pesci is playing the same character he's always had. I read a really good article that said Hollywood never could figure out Joe Pesci, and that is true. That guy is a phenomenal actor, and he played the same character in nearly every movie he ever did. I believe that man has range. I'm happy to see him get nominated because he's great. He can be great at this character. But I do believe that Joe Pesci had a lot more to give to Hollywood than he actually did. So yeah, I just think it's a phenomenal movie. It is clean. It is so well done. But at the end of the day, there's no X factor, and that was one of my things. Just nothing. There's nothing there that really stood out. I've seen it all before.
My Cousin Vinny is my favorite comedy of all time.
Yeah, and he's awesome in it.
Yep, he's so good.
Now we go to Antonio, who was just in last week's. Been on a lot this year, I want to say.
He was Midsummer as well, and the soundtrack pod. So he's been on 3 times this year. Mr. Reliable.
Okay. Number 5, Jojo Rabbit. Number 4, Marvel Cinematic Universe presents The Avengers Endgame. No 3 Little Women No. Roman numeral 2, Marriage Story. And here it is, ultimate number 1, The Kid Who Would Be King. ... JK, fuckos. It's Midsummer. Love you. Love your show. Big podcast guy over here. You kings. S is a $. Bless and 3,400 years of joy and love from Antonio Payton Nangle Zoda.
I love that, man.
So, if you're wondering,
enough,
5 Jojo Rabbit, 4 Avengers Endgame, 3 Little Woman, 2 Marriage Story, 1 Midsommar.
He put The Kid That Would Be King as the joke number 1. I guess that movie's actually like really good. It's from the guy that did.
I really like that movie.
It's from the guy that did Attack the Block, which is an awesome British indie movie starring John Boyega. I guess it's really good, but yeah, no one wants to see a King Arthur movie anymore, and it came out in like mid-January. But thanks, Antonio.
Yeah,
love you. Bye.
We appreciate it. We appreciate the love. Now we're getting to Brett Zimmerman, who was supposed to be on Pet Sematary this year, but it just didn't work out. He had to leave for whatever reason. He couldn't make it. So Brett, as always, gives us an honorable mention. His honorable mention was Last Black Man in San Francisco. Just beautiful. Marriage Story, Dolomite Is My Name, The Irishman, Two Popes, and Us. And here's his top 5. The Lighthouse. Why'd you spill your beans? This movie stole my soul.
Yep.
4, Midsommar, another shock horror masterpiece from Ari Aster. It's highly unlikely their relationship will survive this. 3, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's Tarantino. I mean, come on. 2, Jojo Rabbit, charming, funny, and devastating, yet hopeful. All in one package. Taika Waititi does it again. And number 1, Parasite, a cinematic masterpiece. And then negative 1 million. Did a Star Wars movie come out this year? Who the fuck cares? So Keegan usually doesn't agree with Brett, but I mean, that's pretty much your feelings right there in a nutshell.
I believe after last year's top 5 and his review of Roma, I wanted to fist fight Brett, but
you did.
That's a hell of a top 5 there, Brett. Thanks for your contribution, and I agree with you. Star Wars ended after 8. It's weird they didn't do a trilogy this time, but hey, I'm okay with it.
I think it's funny that he put Phantom Thread on its top 5 2 years ago. Keegan just knocked every beer off the table on the ground. So funny.
Terrible.
But yeah, The Lighthouse getting a lot of love from the fans, from our co-hosts. I shouldn't say fans. They're our friends. All right, Caroline's on. Caroline's coming up now. She was on Captain Marvel, female, which is his rarefied air. Number 5, she didn't number these, but we're going to say?
Mrs. Seacrest was our first guest.
That's true. Mrs. Seacrest was our first guest. Remember Charlie Cart did joke? I forget what it was. Mrs. Seacrest goes, "Oh, you can't put that on there." And we were dying. And we're like, "That's going to be our cold open." And Charlie's like, "No, it's going to be the cold open, Bob. They're going to put it on first."
It was regarding Sean Penn and Rain Man. I won't go any further into it. Listen to that episode. It's an incredible cold open. It's the soundtrack episode.
She didn't number these, but I can guess which order it goes in, which way. Number 5 for her is Hustlers. Number 4, Last Black Man, San Francisco. 3, Parasite. 2, Midsommar. And number 1 in bold and size 36 font, Little Woman.
Nice.
We haven't talked about Hustlers yet. Keen, have you seen Hustlers?
No. That will most likely win/compete heavily for biggest miss of the year.
Yes. So I watched it last week because she loves it and she's been talking about it forever. And it's considered a really good movie. It is really good. J-Lo is awesome in it. And the fact that she didn't get nominated is a travesty. It's very Magic Mike type feels in all the good ways. I saw a funny tweet saying Magic Mike and Hustlers does a better job of explaining the financial crisis of the mid-2000s than The Big Short does. I don't think that's true, but that's a good tweet. Extremely well acted. That cast is awesome, and I had a great time with it. It was really close to making my top 10. It's in my top 20.
I will
recommend
say
seeing it.
I did watch the J-Lo pole dance scene, and oh boy, that woman is 50 years old. You would never guess that.
That is true. She is 50. Next on our list, another female, Megan Jennison, my sister, who was on the Aladdin pod, and she contributed.
And she
was texting me. What were you going to say?
She gave Aladdin a 9.5.
That is insane. That's one of the highest scores in history. Also, she's been texting me all week about the movies she saw this week. She tried to jam in a couple movies at the end. Really cute. And she hated Uncut Gems. Gave her high anxiety, that's a fair take.
Yeah.
Number 5 for her, Toy Story 4. Number 4, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Correct name, Megan. Kudos to you. I could not get it right. Number 3, Frozen 2. Welcome to the pod, Frozen 2. Number 2, Knives Out. Keegan's dumbfounded. And number 1, Endgame. Her and Mr. Black Klansman himself. Same movie.
The Jennisons like Marvel movies? What?
I forget. So she randomly saw a movie on Netflix. Maybe it was Thor Ragnarok or another Avengers movie. I forget what it was. But she liked it, and then she started watching all of the Marvel movies after that, and then really enjoyed Endgame. So
wow, that's awesome.
I was shocked too, but they're for everybody. I mean, it's just like they're funny movies. They're well done, well acted, charming.
Yeah.
Frozen 2, me and Keenan haven't seen it. I had no interest in seeing that movie, especially after I heard that it was like kind of weird. Didn't hear great things about it, so it kept me away from it. Next on our list is E2. He was on the Post podcast way back when, and I think Keegan once said E2 is the Academy. So we're gonna go to E2's top 5. Number 5, The Two Popes. Keegan can't be mad with that. Number 4, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I ain't mad about that. Hell yeah. 3, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. 2, Keegan shaking his head. 2, 1917. Keegan gives a half head shake. He likes it. And number 1, Parasite. Keegan's loving all of that. We got a fist bump.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's a runaway for Parasite.
Yeah,
and I just think really shows how good it is. I'm not surprised at all that's a runaway.
No, especially because us both giving it number 1 gave it a clear advantage, but it's still popping up on like most people's top 5. So
it's probably number 1 on most people's top 5.
It'll be the biggest winner of all time.
Yeah,
over the last 3 years. Like it won't even be close.
No, it's not even close right now. And that's okay because it's a really good movie.
Yep.
All right, now we go to my brother, who will be on next week's pod to break down the Oscar nominations. He's a member of the Academy himself. No, he's not, but he wishes he was. So he just lists off his top 10 movies of the year, and then he organizes it afterwards and asks me to read off his top 10 movies of the year. So I say I'll read whatever you put on the email, so here it goes. Chuck's 2019 Best in Film: Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Knives Out, Little Woman, Marriage Story, Midsummer, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, and Uncut Gems. Movie ReBrew's top 5. Number 5, Joker. Whoa. 4, Midsummer. 3,
Joker.
Little Woman. Yep. 3, Little Woman. 2, Jojo Rabbit. 1, Parasite. I am shocked that's our first Joker.
Yeah, me too.
And Chuck has Parasite number 1 still.
Fuck yeah, dude.
He loved Jojo Rabbit. He texted me like, "Oh my god, I am shocked. I love Jojo Rabbit."
It's a good
He
movie.
also loved 1917. Said it was the first war movie that didn't want to put him to sleep. So.
It's hard to sleep through that movie. That movie is intense as hell.
Thoughts on Joker, Keegan?
I don't like it. You were way higher than I was. I think I gave it a passing 6. It has a lot of ideas presented, but never commits to any of them. It's a movie with one good performance, and it looks good, but I don't know. I just didn't think it was that great. And I hate this, but Twitter is really starting to turn on it. It's one of those things where something gets popular and Twitter starts to hate it, especially before the Academy Awards. That happens pretty frequently. So yeah, it's getting crapped on every Twitter feed you can find. It's an okay film that isn't 11 nominations worthy, but it's also not dog shit. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was like 8.5. I actually really enjoyed it. And I think his Penis' performance is just so good in it. But I don't think it's anywhere close to 11 nominations, nowhere close to Best Picture, nowhere close to Best Director. So that's kind of hurt it in my eyes. It was somewhere like in the 20 range. I think it's a solid movie. Maybe I shouldn't have gone as high as I did at first. Maybe because I just really love the performance. And it's really good. I'm not gonna be upset if he wins.
No, I think he will win. I said earlier that Brad Pitt is becoming a lock, even more so for Penis. He's won everything. I think the most egregious nomination has been Best Director. I think Todd Phillips is kind of a hack, if I can speak freely here. And I don't think he's worthy of that, especially when you have Greta Gerwig out there. You have, I don't know, so many other people that are worthy of the nomination. Ari Aster, it's dumb to have Todd Phillips in that top 5.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I do like some of the themes it addresses. I think they flush it out a little more than Keegan thinks, but I mean, to each his own. So I give a thumbs up to Joker, but it really wasn't close to my top 10. Okay, now we go to Ian Leake, which after Keegan, this is probably the person I talk to movies the most, and he sees a whole lot of movies. And here's his list. Hey, Keegan, Peanut Butter Falcon, number 5.
Let's go.
Last Black Man in San Francisco, number 4. Let's go. Number 3, Marriage Story. Number 2, Joker. The man loves his Joker. And number 1, Parasite.
Dude,
here's a fun
Parasite. Let's go.
Here's a fun fact. Ian went as Midsummer for Halloween. He was a bear, and his girlfriend was dressed up as the Maid Queen.
That's awesome.
And it didn't make his top 5, but it was a really good costume.
It's a great costume. Joker back-to-back, though.
Joker back-to-back. It was hiding on us. I mean, you gotta love the Peanut Butter Falcon love.
I do. I really do.
I mean, after Parasite, I really have no idea where any other movie stands.
No, dude, Parasite's gonna have like 75 points.
It's high.
Like, movies have one with like 32 points. This will have like double, triple that amount.
I mean, it's usually like a nail biter. I mean, this is just a route.
Yeah.
I mean, I think last year Annihilation was like 7th on my list, 9 on your list. Antonio had it number 1, and Ryan had it number 5, and that won Best of the Year.
Annihilation was 3 for me, so it got a lot of points from me.
Yeah,
but still, yeah, like
me,
4 people voted for it, and it won. Everyone basically has voted for it.
Yeah. So last but not least, maybe least, Anthony DiCarlo.
least.
He goes, "Hey there, Mr. Mike Jennison. I know this is wrong. Here are my top movies of the year. It feels like just yesterday we were shitting on the issues with us, yet still giving it positive scores. Yeah. Steven Spielberg once again said, movies, wow. And I couldn't agree more." Number 6, bonus, Color Out of Space. Are you aware what that is?
That's the Richard Stanley, Nick Cage movie that came out 2 days ago. I saw it in theaters. D, that counts as a 2020 movie in our eyes. So next year, you can vote for Color Out of Space.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's
5.
It's Mandy meets Annihilation meets David Cronenberg. It's interesting. I think before you see Color Out of Space, I was going to do this in What We Watched, but before you see Color Out of Space, you should watch Lost Souls, the documentary about Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau, and you'll realize how Nicolas Cage and Richard Stanley are an absolute match made in heaven. They were both so weird, but they're perfect together. So Color Out of Space, it may be coming to a theater near you, maybe not, but it's good stuff.
I haven't heard of it yet. It's nowhere close to Nashville, I would like to say. 5, The Lighthouse. You're also the first person that's put the D in front of it, so good for you, DiCarlo. 4, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. 3, Parasite. 2, Knives Out. And number 1, Midsummer.
Nice.
Can't be mad with Midsummer number 1.
Nope.
That was number 1 for a long time. Long time. Before I begin, we separate ties by going to the total number of first place votes is the first tiebreaker. Second tiebreaker is the amount of ballots it's on. If there's a third tiebreaker, it goes to total points that me and Keegan gave it. If there's a fourth tiebreaker, we haven't decided what that would be. It gets to coin flip. Another rule is that it has to be on at least another list that's not me or Keegan's. So, well, it has to be on at least 2 lists. And that's called the Mother Rule, because in 2017, no one had Mother on the list besides me. I had it 2, and it was number 10 on the total list. Me and Keegan thought that's not great, so that's a rule now. So, number 10, with 12 points on 3 people's list, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 9, it's got 2 first-place votes, actually. Not on me and Keegan's list, but on a lot of our guest lists, as Keegan rightfully called, is Lighthouse. Number 8 on poor people's list, including my number 3 movie of the year, is Last Black Man in San Francisco. Number 7 on the list, is on 6 people's list with 15 points, is Jojo Rabbit. Number 6 on the list is on 4 people's list, including my number 2 movie with 17 total points, is Marriage Story. Number 5, with 2 first-place votes, is Avengers Endgame, made number 5. Number 4, 5 people's list with 21 total points, is Knives Out. It was 2 people's second movie, but did not get a first-place vote. And then number 3 on the list with 25 total points, including a first-place vote, is Little Woman. Number 2 on the list with 36 points, including 2 first-place votes on me and Keegan's list, also on 9 ballots. 36 total points. Would have probably won in any other year is Midsummer. And number 1 with 8 first-place votes.
Holy
It was also on 11 of the possible 16 ballots with 62. That is right, 62 first place votes in a runaway effort, and it's a foreign film, Bong Joon-ho's masterpiece Parasite.
Wow, double second place, right? No, that's 72, but 26 points.
It was close.
Holy
and to put
shit.
to wrap our head around, we had 12 people last year, okay? Number 1 was Annihilation with 24 points. We added 4 more people, but still, 62 points.
62 points.
62.
Oh my god. I mean, yeah, dude.
Last year, no one had the same number 1 either, out of everybody. We had 12 different number 1 votes. This year, one movie was 9 people's first vote. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen Parasite yet, I don't know what else you need to be told. This movie is incredible.
That's fucking crazy.
And
wow.
Keegan will post it on Twitter if you want to see a better breakdown of this with the movies and total points. But so we've done this 3 years. 2017 was Call Me By Your Name, 2018 was Annihilation, and 2019 was Parasite. We're pretty good at this. Are we better than the Academy Awards? I think we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive list.
You pick 5 people off the street, they're better than the Academy.
Yeah.
That's nuts, though, dude. Call Me By Your Name, I don't even think made my top 10 that year, but it had a lot of guest support, and it probably won with 27 points.
Yeah,
Annihilation,
it barely beat Get Out by 2 points, I want to say.
Annihilation 24 points, 62 points. That's fucking crazy.
I mean, poor Midsummer. It would have racked up a huge lead. I mean, 36 is insane, but yeah.
Yeah.
Parasite,
the moral of the story: see Parasite. And on February 9th, when it doesn't win Best Picture, this will be all of our collective, the Academy blows moment. Man, I'm happy. I'm very happy. Obviously, I mean, take away us voting completely. It's still a runaway winner with 42 points. That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, Keegan obviously have a lot of weight in this, but it would have been a blowout. It would have, if you took away our two 10s, it would have had 42 points, which you could have kept our rest of our rankings on there, and it still would have been a runaway victory. Yeah. Just nuts.
Crazy.
It's a people's champ.
I don't think there hasn't really been a movie like this before. Every podcast I listen to, every video I watch, at my company's Christmas dinner, everyone is praising Parasite. I've never seen anything like it.
I do agree. It is, that's what I'm saying. If it wins Best Picture, it would just kind of be like, wow, did they get it right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's not going to win because I have no faith. But, it'd be crazy. Oh, here's the thing. So our first year we ever did it, we had 8 guests. So cute. And the winner was Call Me By Your Name with 24 points. With 8 guests.
Oh, so
we We double the people, but still not really close. All right, Keegan. We'll still talk about these movies for the next 2 podcasts because we're going to do our awards show, which is always a good time. But next week we do the Academy Awards, where we break down every category and give us our predictions. But Keegan, what'd you watch this week?
I've been doing a bit of a cleanse of 2019. I watched, John Wick 3 isn't really a cleanse. It came out this year, but it feels like a cleanse because I love the movie so much. And then I watched Paddington 2, which is where I realized that it's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's probably the best kids movie of all time. It's on HBO right now. Please watch Paddington 2. It's a masterpiece. I also watched Aliens, James Cameron's sequel to
Paddington 2 is awesome. If you are down, go watch it.
Yeah. I've never seen Aliens before, but it's always pitched as the action follow-up to a horror movie, but it's not as action-heavy as I expected. There's obviously way more action than is in Alien, but it's still a horror movie. And it solidifies that facehuggers are far and away the scariest thing ever put to screen. I had nightmares after watching Aliens because facehuggers are just fucking terrifying. And then I started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, the anime. Man, that show is so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
What are you watching it on?
I'm watching it on Hoopla, which is a library subscription video service. Oh. It's like Canopy. Cool. I never finished it when it was on air. I watched like the first 2 seasons, but then I don't know, for some reason I fell off it, or just forgot to watch it probably as a kid. But man, it's so good.
Yeah, it is a great show. That's something also I didn't finish either. And I wanted to watch it. Me and my roommates wanted to watch it freshman year of college together, and we just couldn't find it anywhere. So I watch a bunch of stuff because, unlike Keegan, I need to play catch-up ball big time. So I'm going to run through these movies real quick. And I didn't like a lot of things I saw. So I rented from the public library Gloria Bell. That movie sucked.
What is that?
I tweeted out, Gloria Bell, more like going through hell. It started Julianne Moore, A24 movie.
Yeah.
It was originally a 4 movie from like 2013. Same director made an American remake of it with Julianne Moore because she wanted to do it. It's not very good. Something's lost in translation, I think. I'm cool with like really slow drama movies about life, but the characters have to make like things that a human being would actually do. John Turturro does the same thing in this movie for 2 completely different reasons, and it totally threw me out of the movie. Love the first hour of it. Julianne Moore is wonderful. The last 45 minutes is borderline terrible. No, it is terrible. Not even borderline. It is awful. The next movie I saw was Wild Rose. Man, I thought I was going to love this movie. I thought it checked all my boxes.
Yep.
Even the main goal here is to get to Nashville, which your homeboy's sitting in right now. This movie was awful. I gave Gloria Bell a 5. Wild Rose was awful. I thought it was terrible, Keegan.
Oh wow! See, I had very high expectations, but it didn't deliver like at all. It's like for me, it was like a 6.5, 7 range. Like it was like totally fine, but I expected 10 out of 10. I think the song Glasgow is great. I listened to it last night. It's very good. But yeah, it just didn't deliver. I don't think it's awful.
It's an extremely subpar movie. I hated the character. And then out of nowhere, the mom's like, yeah, she gives, you know how the mom's like, yeah. It's like, no, like, it just pissed me off. Like, and there's something she could have done so easily with the neighbor, not the neighbor, the person she was nannying. If she would have just done that, everything would have been fine. But then she didn't. And then at the end is like too perfect. I don't know if it's supposed to be like different or what, like fantastical almost at the end. But man, that sucked. Though the song at the end is really good, and this terrible subpar movie leads up to a great song. And I feel like everything in the movie is kind of tied into the song, so I dug that. I wish I would have gotten nominated for Best Original Song, but man, this movie's not very good. However, spoiler alert, I need to spoil this because it's kind of funny. She gets to Nashville. I won't tell you how, but she gets there, and I started cracking up because it was just ridiculous. But they're like doing cut scenes of Nashville. One of the things they cut is a highway sign that says "This way Memphis, straight ahead Nashville," and I crack up because that's like 2 minutes from my house, and every time I'm driving home from anywhere south of me, I have to go that way, but I have to go on the Memphis ramp. and I get off at the very next exit because it kind of does the loop just south of Nashville.
Yeah.
And when I first moved here, I would take the Nashville side every single time. And then I have to get off and backtrack 20 minutes. Oh, and like I've done it before during rush hour and it's cost me an hour. So I hate that fucking side. Like my girlfriend knows I hate that fucking side because she takes that same route too. I'm like, make sure you go Memphis because like you need to take that because it does the loop around Nashville. It's so funny. So we saw that sign and I cracked up. I paused and I had to rewatch it a couple of times. It was the hardest I laughed in a movie this year. Had nothing to do with the actual movie itself, but I thought it was hilarious. Another movie I saw, Hustlers. I talked about already. Phenomenal. 8 out of 2. J-Lo got robbed.
8 out
late
of 2?
night I saw 8.2.
Oh.
Mindy Kaling's movie, it premiered at Sundance last year, had a bunch of buzz. Amazon bought it. It did nothing at the box office. Flopped. Starring Emma Thompson too. Emma Thompson? That's right. Emma Thompson.
Late night, right?
Late night, yeah. Emma Thompson's playing a J-Lo character, kind of. I loved it. Kind of just like a good comedy that you haven't seen a lot of, and with a good twist coming from like a female perspective. I gave it 7.5. I like late night TV, and it was cool to kind of see behind the scenes of how it goes down. Yeah, it's kind of formulaic, but it comes from a different perspective, so it works. And I like Mindy Kaling, and I think most of America likes Mindy Kaling, so I think you'd like this movie. You haven't seen it, right?
No, my brother loved it.
Yeah, it was on my list, and it was free on Amazon, so I rolled with it. Peanut Butter Falcon, Keegan's talked about it a lot. I've chimed in. I gave it an 8 out of 10 though. And then the movie I saw literally right before this was Judy. I'm watching it because I'm trying to see all of the acting nomination before our Oscar pod, and she's really good in it. And it makes sense that she's going to win. I think she's going to win. She might not. That's the one acting category I think is up in the air. But she's really good in it, and it seems like the role that the Academy likes. She sings in it too, which I was happy to see, and she's a very good singer. Which I was surprised about, Renee Zellweger. So yeah,
Chicago.
Good movie. Not great, but a good movie. I get a 7 out of 10. If you like Judy Garland, I think you'd love it. The movie. I don't really know Judy Garland that well besides Oz. I think the younger version of herself, it flashes back to 1966, late career Judy Garland in London, and Oz set Judy Garland. I think the Oz set is a million times more interesting, but I respect the fact that they mostly focus on late life Judy Garland because of the story we don't know. But I don't really know the story of Oz set Judy Garland either. I didn't know that she had such a troubled childhood, which makes sense, but I didn't know it. So that's more interesting to me, but I understand why the movie is more focused on late life Judy Garland.
It's a super interesting story. I told the story already, but I was hanging out with my uncle. He came to visit LA, and he's seen like 2 movies in the last 10 years, Chappaquiddick and Ad Astra, but he was very looking forward to seeing Judy because he loves Judy Garland. I don't think he ever got around to it, but I really wanted to see Judy. That'll be in contention for biggest miss if I don't see it by our awards show.
You can still see it, Keegan. I rented Pain and Glory and that from Redbox for less than $3, both Blu-ray.
Redbox is fantastic. They sell video games too.
Really? That's really cool. Haven't got to Pain and Glory yet. That's my next on my list. But yeah, if I didn't give Judy a score, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's good. I liked it. I want to know more about her story. I'm excited to read her Wikipedia page. I think it'll be a good read tonight.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. That's all I got as well. Thanks for listening to this once it's cut, it'll be less than 3 hours, but nearly 3-hour podcast.
Wow, really? That's crazy.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us. Next week, we will be doing our in-depth Oscars discussion. We will give our Oscar predictions and what we would vote for if we were so fortunate enough to get a seat in the Academy. We range on how well we do. I think Mike did the best last year. I've done the best the last...
I finally won.
Yeah, 2 years before that. But Chuck is a legendary Oscars picker. He lives for it. So, be on the lookout for that. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you agree with us. If not, let us know. But we'll see you next week for the Oscars.
Annie Young, that's goodbye in South Korean.
Boo. Boo.
I also slaughtered it. Boo. Boo this man. Boo.